So we're here in Rwanda at Project Magu. We just purchased the land from a number of different people. Vital had to talk to a gazillion government officials, and we put it all together. And so it's about an acre, as you can see right here. And what we're going to do is construction will start in about a month. Given COVID, things have been pushed back a bit. And a big part of the profits from my courses and my MBA degree programs is going to go to building schools all over the world. And I'm going to make a lot of mistakes with this first one, but once we figure it out in the blueprint and whatnot, then it'll be easier from a modularization perspective to kind of implement this in different countries. Yeah.
They will not have to reinvent the wheel, so we are doing the hard bit. We are lifting the heavy, and then people will just take it as it is, maybe do some modification and implement it in their countries or in their villages as well.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So the land we bought is from here
all the way up.
All the way up
and around. Yeah.
So this whole land.
And that's where we're building it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, and we are so grateful because one of the success that we already enjoyed is the people here, the people that sold us the land. They understood the reason behind this, and that was a big success. People gonna learn, and they're gonna also kind of have a place where they can come and connect again and build their community. So we are grateful. Thank you so much, Chris.
I met Vital about 2 years ago at
in
Udemy
2019.
conference.
Yes,
Udemy conference in Berlin. We said we're going to do it, and you're my hero, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our 145th weekly webcast. We had an amazing trip to Rwanda. I loved every second of it, and it's so great to be back home in San Francisco in the Bay Area right now. Unfortunately, in Rwanda, we left on Sunday a couple days ago, and on the day before that, on Saturday, went into full lockdown because of the Delta variant. Apparently, Australia's in full lockdown as well, and a bunch of other countries are closing borders. So lots of prayers to everybody going through this terrible COVID crisis. Now, the way that this weekly call works is I first discuss the most important and interesting business news topics from the past week and how we can all use the news to enhance our careers or invest much, much better. Then what I do is I spend the rest of the 3-hour call taking your questions. And what I'll do is I'll give away my $999 MBA degree product to one person on this call. And I'll explain exactly how you can win this very, very soon. Now, over the past 145 weekly YouTube webcasts and the many MBA office hours and MBA Q&A sessions I've answered more than 10,000 questions live here on YouTube. It's been a lot of fun, and I thought it would be awesome and so much fun if you could type your question and I could immediately answer it on my website based on my 10,000 questions answered. So I want to quickly introduce you to a free product of mine called Powersearch, which you can access on my website as well as on my Teachables page. So let me tee this up quickly here. Thank you. So the way that Powersearch works is if you go to my website, which is harounventures.com, then what you do is you type in any business question you want, even make spelling mistakes, which I do all the time. It'll work. So if you type in balance sheet, for example, and then you hit enter, what you see are videos I've made on balance sheets over the years or any topic in business that you care about. Also, if you click here, you can see exactly where I cover it in my MBA degree program. And if you're in my MBA degree program, you can click this to go directly to that part there, exactly, or that portion of the program. Yeah, still suffering some jet lag here, clearly. Now, if you're getting value out of this weekly call, then please like, share, and subscribe. All right, cool. Let's now move on to the news and topics help you take your career or investment portfolio to the next level. This will be fun. Video conferencing giant Zoom announced a massive $14.7 billion acquisition of cloud software company Five9. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to explain the quantitative and qualitative aspects of this deal. I'll also explain how the investment bankers pulled off this deal. And I'll discuss how hedge funds are transacting in Zoom and Five9 right now. So from a qualitative perspective, the deal makes sense because Five9 is a call center software company. And a lot of call center employees are, of course, working from home right now. And Five9 is actually a brilliant name for the company from a branding perspective because Five9 is a call center software company because Five9s right here is what large technology companies talk about when it comes to uptime and availability of their products 99.999% of the time. Now, from a management integration perspective, the deal also makes a ton of sense as the CEOs of both Zoom and Five9 worked together at Cisco years ago when Cisco bought WebEx in 2007. I remember that deal very, very well. And from a quantitative perspective, this is the second largest technology M&A deal this year behind Microsoft's $16 billion acquisition of Nuance Communications. Now, usually when a large-scale M&A occurs, the premium that the acquirer pays is about 25 to 30% in normal environments, normal markets, that is. Microsoft bought Nuance Communications earlier this year for a 23% premium. And I mention this because with Zoom paid only a 13% premium for Five9, partially because valuations in general in this market are at nosebleed levels. And what was fascinating about Zoom's deal is that it was an all-stock deal. And when you see an all-stock deal, it often signals that the acquiring company, meaning Zoom in this case, knows that their stock is overvalued and that it's very smart to use their stock as currency instead of using debt or using some cash to finance the deal. Now, the shareholders of Five9, the company that Zoom is acquiring, the way it's going to work is they're going to receive 0.5533 shares of Zoom for every share that they own. Now, if we go to Yahoo Finance together and we type in the ticker for Five9, let me show you how to get the share count here. So give me 1 second to move this over here. All right. So if we go here to finance.yahoo.com, and please never pay for any software or website access when it comes to information on investing, because nobody's smarter than you and everybody's biased. But if we go here and we type in the ticker for Five9, which is FIVN for Five9, and we go here to statistics, we're going to see the share count. And this will make a lot more sense to you in a second. So I'll do a quick search for share here. Here we go. Great, cool. So the shares outstanding are 67 million shares, as you can see right here. Okay, let me go back here. And I'm working on setting this up so I don't have to switch so many screens. So give me 1 second. I continue to make mistakes, but it's fun. We're having a good time here. Okay, so when it comes to Five9, if we take the 67 million shares, okay, and we multiply it times 0.553, that results in 37 million shares of Zoom that Five9 shareholders are going to receive. So 37 million shares times Zoom's stock price of $363 when the deal was announced implies here a price of just over $200 per share for Five9, which is a 13% premium. And 363 times 0.553 means that when the deal was announced, each Five9 shareholder would receive about $200 per share, which is the 13% premium. However, since Zoom has now pulled back since the announcement of the deal, this means that as of now, the Five9 shareholders won't receive that much of a premium at all. So with Zoom at about $351 per share as of the close of the market yesterday, that means that the Five9 shareholders will get, as of now, $194 per share and not the $200 per share. So why is Five9 share price several dollars below $200.80 right now? Now, there's a couple reasons why. Number one, the market is implying that Zoom stock is overvalued. And two, most importantly, in most cases, when one company announces that they're buying another company, unless there's an expected bidding war for the acquiree, meaning Five9, what happens is a stock getting acquired, Five9 in this case, stays a little bit below the announced price, just in case the deal falls apart. So why would a deal fall apart? Well, if one owner of the company, if the owner, number one, let me start again there. Why would the deal fall apart? It could be, number one, if the owners of the company getting acquired vote to stop the deal, or number two, if the government antitrust departments block the deal, just like they did when Microsoft tried to buy Intuit in 1994. And what happens is governments block deals if they think that the deal is going to hurt consumers from a price and from an innovation perspective. As we all know that, monopolies are lazy when it comes to innovation, and they increase prices. That's why Warren Buffett loves to invest in monopoly-based companies. Okay, let's move on now to discussing hedge funds' roles in the deal. And then what we'll do is we'll wrap up this topic with a quick discussion of the roles of the investment bankers that structured this deal. Now that the deal has been announced, what happens is this. Massive event-driven hedge funds, staffed with an army of lawyers, analyze if the deal will be approved and will actually take place. So what happens is this. These massive event-driven hedge funds, what they do is they buy, meaning they go long the company being acquired in size, meaning in this case, Five9. Okay, they go long Five9. And what these hedge funds do to hedge their bets is they go short, meaning they bet against the company making the acquisition, which is Zoom. Now, why do they do this? Well, I've worked for very large hedge funds in the past, and I've done a lot of event-driven deals. And what happens is there's an arbitrage opportunity as the company getting acquired trades at a bit of a discount to the price announced, especially if it's a fixed price instead of a deal based on the acquiring company using their shares as currency. Okay? Now, let me give you an example first. If company B is at $10 right now, and if company A agrees to acquire company B for a 30% premium at, say, $13, then the market often drives the price of company B up to just below $13, maybe 5% below $13 initially. And then what happens is this. The event-driven hedge fund buys company B for where it's at, which is currently just below $13 in this hypothetical case. And then what they do is they short company A in size. And eventually what happens is company B, if all goes well, sells itself for $13, okay? And what happens is hedge funds make a massive profit as they use a ton of leverage to buy the company being acquired, and they short in size the company making the acquisition. And that arbitrage spread closes, meaning if the price is just below 13, when the deal closes, eventually it goes up to $13. So if the deal does not go through, then the hedge fund is in big trouble. And quite often what happens with massive M&A deals is they don't officially close until 6 months after the deal has been announced, because shareholders and antitrust groups need to approve the deal. Also, In normalized economic environments, interest rates are much, much higher. And there's an interest rate-based discount on the deal given the time value of money. Now let's talk about the role of investment bankers in the deal. In most cases, what happens is this. Big firms like Zoom that do an acquisition are represented by one large reputable investment bank. So in this case, Zoom is being advised by Goldman Sachs. And a different firm always advises the company being acquired. And the best way to think about this is think of investment bankers as being like lawyers, as you actually would never have the same law firm representing two firms in a trial. So when it comes to Five9's investment bankers, they have the number one technology investment banker on the planet representing them, which is Frank Quattrone from Catalyst Partners. The guy is a rock star. So Frank Quattrone from Catalyst Partners is a legend, as he's put together many incredible deals in tech over the past few decades, as he's actually known in the industry as being the smartest technology investment banker in history. And I know this as I pitched my portfolio companies to his firm when I worked in the venture capital sector. He's great. Now, my gut is that it was Frank Quattrone who approached Five9 and suggested that they sell themselves to Zoom. And a deal this big in technology often has Frank Quattrone involved. So how do the investment bankers make money if the deal goes through? Well, what happens is they get a fee that can be a couple % of the dollar value of the transaction. And this is why investment bankers make the big bucks. So how do we learn about this deal instead of just relying on the biased media? So here's what you do when a deal is announced. What we do is we go over to sec.gov. Okay, and sec.gov is the Securities and Exchange website, which is governed by the US government. And to be on the stock market, you have to actually register at sec.gov, and every little piece of information that's disseminated to the public has to be posted here first. So you and I get access at the exact same time as all the big hedge funds do to market information. So let's type in here Five9. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll go to 8K. Okay. Now 8K means an important press release. So let's click here on the most recent 8K. And we see here that this 8K, and I won't go through the whole thing, I promise you, but it talks about the merger with Zoom. And what's important to look at in the 8K when you're doing your research on M&A is you always want to do a search for the termination fee. Okay, and let me go through here. There's 4 instances of this. This will make sense to you in a second. Okay, here it says there's a termination fee of $450 million in cash. And so what happens often is the company making the acquisition, what they also do is they hold a webcast. Okay, it's a conference call to talk about the deal. And they take questions as well. And anybody on the planet can listen to this. So you and I by law actually have, which is amazing, you and I by law have the same access at the same time to all financial information that the top hedge funds and mutual funds do when it comes to sec.gov, or if we go to the investor relations website for the companies involved with the deal. So let's go there together quickly. What we'll do is we'll do a search on investor relations Zoom. And what we can do here is we can actually listen to events on Zoom's website. So what happens is we can actually access this call, which has already taken place, but you can watch a replay as well as look at all the slides as well. So the bottom line is, let me just get back into character here. So the bottom line is that although the Zoom Five9 deal makes sense from a qualitative perspective, the fact that this is an all-stock deal meaning Zoom is not paying for part of the deal with cash or debt. This is an all-stock deal. And this reminds me a lot of when AOL merged with Time Warner in late December of 1999 in an all-stock deal, just a few months before the NASDAQ peaked in March of 2000, given egregious valuations. Now, if this was helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you. All right. Let me get a little sip of water here before I talk about Robinhood. And let me just do a quick check to see if there's complaints about sound or anything. Nope, good. All right. Let's talk about financial software company Robinhood's IPO, including how we can do research on the deal so we can decide whether or not to invest in an IPO. And we'll also talk about how investment bankers value an IPO. Now, the first place you start when doing investment research on an IPO is the government's Securities Exchange website, meaning sec.gov. So let's go there together. All right, starting next week, I'll have a faster transition for all this stuff. All right, so let's go to sec.gov. And then what we'll do is we'll go to company filings, more search options, company name. And if you don't know the name of the ticker, you can always type in the company name here. Robinhood Markets. Go. Okay, great. All right. Now, what you'll see here is a bunch of financial documents. And this here is the S1. This is the most important document you can ever read. And this here is the document that investment bankers and lawyers create so that investors can actually understand the deal. And I'll go through this very, very quickly. So right here, this is the S1 filing. And this means this is the amended S1 filing, meaning they made a couple changes to it. Usually what they do is there's a bunch of versions of this before a company goes public because they have to update the price of the deal or the pricing range. So if we click here and we go into the document, again, I'll go through this very, very quickly. I'll show you a couple of the highlights. Now, the S1 is the most thorough document you will ever find on a publicly traded company. And it's even more thorough and helpful than reading the annual or the quarterly reports. Now, if we scroll down here, we can see here, and I'll zoom in a bit here so you can see it a bit better. The maximum price right here is $42. Okay, the maximum price when they go public. And there are exceptions, which I'll talk about in a second. And the maximum offering amount of shares is 60.5 million shares. Okay, that's the highest number of shares they can sell in this IPO. So if we take 60.5 million shares times $42, then what happens is it shows that they're actually going to be raising $2.5 billion in this deal, which is a massive, massive deal. Now, if we scroll down, we see here that they're officially offering 55 million shares. So why does it say 55 million shares here? And up here, it says 60.5 million shares. Well, the reason is because if demand for the IPO is off the charts, then the investment bankers can decide to sell an additional 5.5 million shares. Now, in the first sentence here on page 2, okay, we see that that the company is of the 55 million shares the company is offering, what they're doing is they're actually going to be selling new shares, okay, 52.4 million shares. And these new shares, the 52.4 out of the 55 million, these new shares are called primary shares. And the money they raise from selling the 52.4 million shares will be used for general corporate purposes, which means they're going to use the money to grow their business by opening offices overseas, etc. Then, if we take 55 million shares minus 52.4 million shares, we see that there's actually, I went back there. I'll scroll down here a second. We see that there's actually, I think it's about 2.5 million shares that are being sold here it is here, 2.6 million shares that are being sold as well. Now, those 2.6 million other shares being sold in this IPO, they're not primary shares. Rather, they're secondary shares. And this means that employees and some early investors can finally get paid by selling their shares in this IPO. Now, we see here that in the next sentence that the range here of the IPO is going to be between $38 and $42 per share. And let me explain what this means. So how do investment bankers and their equity capital markets partners, how do they know that the price should be between $38 and $42? Well, what they do is they often look at the valuation of similar companies to Robinhood with similar growth rates. And then they calculate the proper offering value of the company, okay? And when they value the company, they value it a little bit below, sometimes 25 or 30% below what they think it should be valued at. And they do this to incentivize people to want to purchase the IPO. Otherwise, what's the point of investing in the IPO if it's not sold at a discount to the valuation? So the way they come up with a proper valuation is they usually use 3 different valuation methodologies. And they use 3 different valuation methodologies to come up with a target price. Then they take the average target price of those 3 valuation methodologies in order to minimize the margin of error if one of the valuation methodologies is way, way off. For example, they can use a price to revenue target price methodology if the company is not yet profitable. They can also use a DCF or discounted cash flow valuation and an EBITDA-based valuation metric, which is kind of like a PE multiple before accounting for non-cash items like depreciation. So why is the offering range between $38 and $42 per share? It's because the investment bankers don't know exactly what demand might be for the stock before the IPO. And the way they decide what the final price should be on day 1 of the IPO is for a couple weeks before the IPO date. What happens is this. The investment bankers have the management team of the company going public, Robinhood in this case. They have the management team meet with the largest mutual funds, pension funds, and hedge funds in the world on what is called a road show. So the investment bankers go on the road with the management of Robinhood, and they show the management team to investors all over the world or using Zoom, given COVID in some countries. Then after each meeting, the people that work with the investment bankers, who are referred to as equity capital markets or ECM, the people that work with the investment bankers will talk to all investors. And they'll say to the investors, hey, what did you think of the meeting? And how many shares do you want to buy? And at what price? Do you want to buy it at 38, 42, or somewhere in between, or even higher? Now, if it's a very, very hot deal, meaning demand for shares is way higher than supply, then the bankers, what they do is they often increase the pricing range to above $42 per share. And then they sell more than the 55 million shares. But it gets really, really tricky for the investment bankers, as quite often what happens is this. Mutual funds and hedge funds pad their orders by saying they want to buy way more shares than they really want. It's a game, and they use a lot of game theory too. So in a very hot deal, you never get all the shares you want ever. And I remember years ago when Facebook went public and I worked at a hedge fund, one of the investment bank employees during the IPO called me and said, Chris, I fought really, really hard for you, and you're going to get 100% of the shares you asked for. So on the phone, I told the investment bank employees, thank you. Then I hung up the phone and I told my trader at the hedge fund to immediately sell the shares that morning at the open. And quite often investment bankers will give the shares to firms that hold the shares for a long time. Okay, they want long-term shareholders. They don't like volatility. Now what happens is this. By law, very large hedge funds and mutual funds must report every few months to the general public how many shares they own of companies. Now, there's ways around this though, as what happens is this. Hedge funds often use put options to protect a large position that they want to sell, which is something I'm going to discuss in a lot more detail in my upcoming complete options course, which of course will be in my MBA degree program in much more detail. Now, if you've signed up for my MBA degree program, you get access to all additional lectures I add forever. And I'm going to add the options stuff right after class number 89. There's 100 classes in the deal, or in the program. All right, let me go back here. So if we move down, and I'll wrap this up quickly, but if we move down here to the bottom of page 2 of this S1 filing, right here. Here's the bottom of page 2. We see a bunch of investment banks right here that are doing the deal. Now, why are there so many investment banks doing this IPO? Because it takes a lot of investment banking trading floors to distribute a large deal at the right price all over the world, which is why we have Mizuho from Japan in the middle here as part of the investment banking syndicates. You'll see here that top left, as they call it, top left here is Goldman Sachs, okay, which means they're the number 1 firm on the offering. The number 2 firm on the offering is top right here, which is JP Morgan. And the 2 most prestigious firms to be number 1 are often Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley's awesome. Now the next 9 pages here, which I won't go through, but the next 9 pages here are what they are they're slides from presentations that the company gave during the road show, right? Meaning the presentation slides that they showed investors. And one last thing I want to mention, the last thing here is, let me get to table of contents here really quickly. Sorry for scrolling a lot. There we go, cool. The last thing I want to mention here is a table of contents where you'll find all the awesome information you need to know about this company in order for you to make an informed decision whether or not to invest in the company, including the market size, the risks, the competition, the management team, and of course, the historical financial statements. So the bottom line is I strongly and humbly recommend reading these S1 filing documents thoroughly before deciding to invest in an IPO. All right, let me move on to the next story. Oh, this one's a lot of fun. You'll love this one. All right. How can we legally find out what our competition's marketing strategy is or their new products are before they announce them? How do we do this legally? Well, one way to do it is you go to a website for the United States Patent and Trademark Registration Office, which is uspto.gov. So let's go there together and let's take a look at filings that Microsoft has filed recently, okay, when it comes to trademarks. So we'll go here to uspto.gov. And then what we'll do is we'll go here to trademarks and we'll search for trademarks right here. And I'll click here, trademark electronic search. It's an old website, it's government, but it works. Then what we'll do is we're going to type in Microsoft to find out what trademarks or brands Microsoft wants to protect, okay? So I'll show you what this means. So if we go here to Microsoft and we hit enter, and let me just get rid of combined here. Here we go, cool. You can see a bunch of, remember this video game? Years ago, yeah. That was on the N64. You can see here Azure Orbital. Azure is Microsoft's cloud offering. But let's actually click on this here and see what this means. So we can see here that Microsoft has registered a trademark for the brand name called Azure Orbital right here. And it's some sort of satellite communications equipment cloud offering, which is fascinating. Now, here's how the trademark process works. When you file a trademark, it costs you a couple $100 if you use an affordable law firm or law service like LegalZoom.com. Then once you file the trademark, what happens is it gets published for opposition. So if we scroll down here, we see that Microsoft filed this trademark for Azure Orbital on December 23rd of 2020. Then what happens is this. The Trademark Office posted the trademark right here on July 20th, 2021 for opposition. You see right here, published for opposition. And what this means is that before Microsoft is given the trademark for Azure Orbital, which is a dope name, before they're given the trademark officially, what they do is the government publishes this for opposition so that the whole world can see it for a month or two in case somebody else already owns that trademark and contests it. And then in a couple months or so from now, if nobody claims the trademark as their own, then Microsoft can legally use it. And this is unbelievable because for competitive intelligence on your competition, you can use this to find out what their future products or marketing strategies are. And I know this firsthand, humbly, because I filed a trademark for one of my courses recently, which got denied by Google. And I'll show you what this means. So if I type in Haroun, is that how you pronounce that? If I type in Haroun here, you could see here, I've got a number of trademarks. And right here, you see one is dead. Okay, it's the only trademark actually I have more that are dead, but right here, it's a complete YouTube course. And what happened was this. YouTube contested this, okay? And it's now dead. YouTube contested this because they said, Chris, we own the rights to YouTube, so you can't use this name and trademark it. And they eventually said to me, okay, fine, you can use it and you can keep your course live called the Complete YouTube Course, but you can't register this trademark, the Complete YouTube Course, because YouTube actually owns that trademark. So learn from my many failures, folks. So as you can see, that this filing here is now dead. And what I have also done is I've registered my brand name. This will be the last one I show you here quickly. So if we go right here to Haroun Education Ventures MBA degree program, as you can see, you can register the name of the product and even the logo here as well. So the bottom line is this. The next time you're thinking about what your competition's future product or marketing strategy might be, I want you to go to uspto.gov and I want you to do a trademark search. And you can also search the USPTO website for patents as well that are filed by your competitors. Now, in my MBA degree program, I provide my students with many templates and frameworks to help them create or enhance their companies or to do investment research on companies, which includes this framework right here, a little bit hard to read. This is a 100-step investment research template that discusses all qualitative and quantitative and other metrics used to analyze companies, like intellectual property, which is up here, number 23, I believe, right here. Yeah, cool. If this was helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you as always. My marketing folks told me to say that stuff, and they're great. All right, let me get back here on track. Go to Big Chris mode. Okay. Why does the entire investment world pay really, really close attention to the United States consumer confidence numbers? Well, the reason is because the United States consumer is about the #1 driver of global economic growth. And let's quantify this together. So what I want to do is I want to show you very quickly some economic data to back this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go together to Wikipedia. And by the way, if there are students watching this and your teachers tell you don't use Wikipedia for research, it's ridiculous. It's like me as a kid being told, hey man, don't use encyclopedias. Use Wikipedia. And if you want, go to the footnotes in Wikipedia as your sources, if you want to research it there. I spelled Wikipedia wrong, but Google will correct me as always. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a list of countries by GDP, meaning the revenue for each country, gross domestic product. We can see here that the US is massive, then comes China and the rest of the world. And China will pass the United States in terms of GDP probably by the year 2040. So let's scroll down now. Okay, so I love using Wikipedia for data sources because it aggregates from a bunch of different websites like the IMF, United Nations, and the World Bank. So what I'm going to do here very, very fast is I'm going to copy all this data into Excel. And what I'm going to show you is going to blow you away. That's me buying time. All right, so I'm going to copy this. Then I'll go over to Excel Hell. And then what I'll do is I'll paste special. And I had a Spanish girlfriend that years ago, she said she wanted some espace. So I'm going to paste special. All right, paste. Here we go. Good. All right, cool. All right. So, and what I'll do here is I'll make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see the data that I'm going to go through very, very fast. Let me just delete all items except for the GDP for all countries. Okay, cool. And let's take the total. So the United States is the largest economy with the GDP or yearly revenue of $22.6 trillion. So what I'll do is I'll take a sum of GDP for all countries here very quickly. So the size of GDP for the whole world is $94 trillion. And let's take a look at the United States as a percent of global GDP, and then we'll talk about the U.S. consumer, and this will knock your socks off. All right, so the United States is 24% of the world's revenue, the world's GDP. And if we just drag this down here, we see China is number 2. And then here we see a bunch of other companies, Japan, Germany, etc. Now, I'm bringing this up to you quickly because I want to show you how much of the U.S. GDP is driven by the U.S. consumer. It's actually 70%. Most people don't realize that 70% of the United States GDP is consumer spending and not big business, right? So we can see right here that 17% of the world's revenue or GDP is spending by the U.S. consumer, which almost rivals that of the entire Chinese economy, including the Chinese government, Chinese big business, etc. So according to Visual Capitalists, and let me go back to my slides here, there's a great company called visualcapitalist.com, which has a lot of great visuals. But according to, whoops, I screwed that up. I think I must have deleted that. No, I screwed up the slide here. Consumer confidence, here it is. According to Visual Capitalist, about 60% of the top 100 companies in the world by market cap are in the United States, this blue region here. And so this is one of the reasons why so many investors pay close attention to the United States consumer sentiment. So let me get out of pip mode here and get back on track. Here we go. So how do we monitor the consumer sentiment? Well, there's a not-for-profit economic think tank called the Conference Board that publishes data on the Consumer Confidence Index, CCI. This is important. And the CCI, or Consumer Confidence Index, is a monthly survey of a couple thousands of households in America that actually measures how positive or negative U.S. consumers are about the economy today and over the next 6 months. And so what happens is this, and this drives the stock markets and global GDP as well. But if consumers are feeling more positive, it means they're going to spend more money and vice versa. And if the CCI data shows that consumer sentiment is negative, then what happens is companies produce less stuff and they potentially let more employees go. And so the United States Consumer Confidence Index, meaning CCI, has a massive impact on the global economy. So how do we monitor this data together? Well, you can either set up a Google alert to email you automatically when the CCI data comes out on the last Tuesday of every month, or we can go to the Conference Board's website, which I'll wrap up very quickly here. All right, so let's go here to the Conference Board's website. It's a not-for-profit. It's not affiliated with the U.S. government. And you type in conferenceboard.org. And you select U.S., and they do it for lots of countries too and regions of the world. It's awesome. And then we scroll down here and we select U.S. consumer confidence. Okay. And we could see here that the last time data was released was June 29th, which was the last Tuesday in June. And per this chart here, and let me make it a bit bigger, per this chart here, we see that the CCI has rebounded a lot recently. Okay, it's rebounded a lot off the lows of 2020. And although it's important to do bottoms-up investment research on companies, the bottom line is if we get the macro wrong, then the micro does not matter as much. So I think investors really need to monitor the CCI closely. All right, give me 1 second. Quick water break here, then we'll move on. All right, let's go back here. All right, fun. All right, let's talk about the easiest and most cost-effective way to invest in international stocks. So what we're going to do together is we're going to go over to Yahoo Finance, which is my favorite free finance website. Don't ever pay for finance data or editorials because nobody's smarter than you. Then what we're going to do is we're going to type in the ticker for EWC together. Okay, and the EWC is an exchange-traded fund, meaning an ETF for Canada. What we can also do is if we want to invest in Brazil, we can buy ticker EWZ. Okay, and I'll show you how to do research on this stuff in a second really quickly. And so the aforementioned country-based ETFs, they're awesome investments because unlike mutual funds, the annual fees on ETFs are quite low and well under 1%. Mutual funds are an absolute ripoff as they have very high fees, and most mutual funds actually underperform ETFs. Now, before you invest in an ETF, okay, a country-based ETF like EWC for Canada, which I'll type up again, and I'll show you where to get a gazillion ETF tickers in a second. But before you invest, what I want you to do is always look at the daily volume, okay? And so you go to summer here for the Canadian ETF, and we see that the average daily volume is 3 million shares times $40. So it trades a lot. It's very liquid. We say on Wall Street, it trades like water. Okay. And we always want to make sure that the ETF or any investment that we're going to invest in trades a lot on a daily basis. So if needed, we can quickly sell the position as illiquid stocks tend to own us in a down market and not vice versa. Now we can see here that this ETF trades enough shares on a daily basis. So liquidity is not an issue here. The next thing we want to do is we actually want to look at the performance fee. And we want it to be well under 1%. So if we click here on profile, we see that the expense report, which is the annual fee, is 0.51%, which means you pay a 0.51% to own this index every year. That's very, very low because there are so many more hidden fees with mutual funds. And much more liquid-based ETFs like the S&P 500 ETF, SPY, they call it the spiders, SPY. The fees are much, much lower because it trades a lot more. Okay, so the expense ratio here is only 0.09%, which is dirt cheap and awesome. Now, in order to find out what stocks are in these index funds, these ETFs, what we can do is we go to holdings here. So we find out here that in the United States S&P 500 index, the breadth and depth are in these 12 sectors here: basic materials, consumer cyclical, the highest being tech. And if you scroll down, you can actually see the largest components here. The largest is Apple, Microsoft, and a bunch of other companies here. Now, if you're not sure what the ETF is for a certain country, like Italy, for example, then you simply go up here and you type in Italy. And then you click right here to see the Italy ETF. The first thing we do is we check for volume. It trades a lot, over 1 million shares times $31 a day. No problem getting in and out of that. Then we go here to the profile to see what the fees are. The fees here, similar to Canada's EWC index, is 0.51% right here. And of course, you can go to holdings as well and Ferrari's in here somewhere. It's right here, which is pretty dope. Dude, they got the best ticker ever. It's RACE. That's the coolest ticker you'll ever see. Okay. Lastly, if you want to see a comprehensive list of ETFs, an amazing resource is etfdb.com, DB for database. And let's go to this website together. Let me make it a bit bigger here, okay? And then, whoops, sorry. It's fun doing this stuff live. And if you scroll down, you can go to ETFs by geography right here. And just for fun, let's take a look at the top one, which is Argentina right here. Okay, there's 110 ETFs for Argentina. This is unbelievable. This is the best website you'll ever find for ETF information. And the ticker here is ARGT. So, and it's got an expense ratio of 0.6%, well under 1%. So if we click here on ARGT, that's the ticker for it, and we go to holdings, we can see that the largest holding here is Mercado Libre, which is based in Argentina. And eBay used to own a massive stake in Mercado Libre. And if you have time, please check out etfdb.com, as I think it's the best ETF screening website on the market today, and it's free. All right, give me 1 second. Get some coffee this time. Sometimes I'll go to bed, and I'm actually excited to wake up so I can grab my 1 cup of coffee per day. I don't smoke, don't do drugs and all that stuff. So this is my one vice here. Yeah. Oh, this one's awesome. All right, let me set it up here. You guys are gonna love this one. All right, cool. All right. The most funnest way for kids and all of us to learn about business and real estate and bonds is by playing my favorite video game of all time, SimCity. And my son Andrew actually just found his passion in life as we went on vacation, and I introduced him to SimCity on my Mac, and he wants to work in construction or architecture now. And I'll show you the game we set up in a second. It's a lot of fun. Now, the beauty of playing SimCity, here we go. The beauty of playing SimCity, and let me actually go and set up the video here. Give me 1 second. Guys, I worked so hard on this video here, I have to show it to you. Give me a second here. Here it is here. Oh my God. Okay, guys, I'm gonna pull you behind the scenes so you guys can see exactly how I set up all this stuff. There's a method to my madness, and I gotta put it in there. So it's right here, I'm setting it up. Good. Okay, here we go. The beauty of playing SimCity is you get an appreciation for the 3 most important that keep in mind when doing when looking to invest in real estate. And those 3 things are as follows: location, location, and location. And I'm working on a complete real estate course coming out soon. Also, by playing SimCity, it introduces us to the concept of budgeting and debt financing through issuing bonds. It's a blast. Now, right here, we just got awarded a space station as well, which piqued Andrew's interest actually in space architecture as well. And you can actually set up, as you can see here, a bunch of different cities, and they trade with each other as well. So it introduces you to international trade. Yeah, sorry for the shaky camera here, but you can actually go through the entire city. And this came out in 2013, this product. I absolutely love it. Here's where you can budget, and here's where you can actually buy bonds, issue bonds. Okay, so it's pretty cool. And I'm certainly not managing a balanced budget there at all. So it's so much fun. Now, the version of SimCity I recommend is this version here I'm showing you that was released way back in 2013 by the Maxis subsidiary of Electronic Arts. And that's me bulldozing some opera house, I think, yeah. Now, Maxis was the best video game company, and EA bought the firm, and they destroyed the SimCity brand, and they actually shut down Maxis entirely, which is heartbreaking. And EA, if you're watching this, I'm begging you to please make another SimCity game. Yeah, and I'm going to go here to another city I made and show you that we trade back and forth between these cities. It can introduce your kids to international trade. It's pretty cool. So what happens is this, with EA and other big tech companies. Often when large tech firms make acquisitions, after a while innovation dies in the companies they buy. especially when the founder of the company they purchase quits. And the founder always quits, or almost always does, after a year because they can't take the bureaucracy. And usually in the contract, when they got to acquire their company, they have to stay for at least a year. And little side note, this is me budgeting on another city with bonds and all that fun stuff. And I'm not running a balanced budget there. I'm an awful teacher. A little off topic here, but at one point, Hewlett-Packard was the 5th biggest software company in the world, as they made so many software acquisitions. And we used to joke in the hedge fund industry that Hewlett-Packard is where software companies go to die. So EA, please hire back the Maxis founder, Will Wright, who I met before, he's a rock star, and let him make another SimCity game. Now, when you play this game, SimCity, you're building a business, meaning a city, and it gets kids interested in so many aspects of business, and maybe even programming and design, user design and real estate creation as well. Now, another way to teach kids about business using a game is through Clash of Clans. And I've been playing this game with my kids almost every day for about 4 years now. And in the game, what you do is you have to budget, okay? You have to budget and save up virtual gems to buy buildings and upgrades. And you're also cognizant of competitive barriers to entry because you're building city walls. And you actually learn how to manage other people through what are called clan wars when you work with other people. Yeah. Now, if you have any suggestions on games that kids can play to learn about business, then please write them in the comments field. Thank you. That was fun, man. All right, cool. All right, let's now move on. Let's now move on to our last topic today before we do the usual Q&A. And the last topic we're going to talk about is building schools in Rwanda with my great friend here and student, Vital. Because we humbly believe that education can solve all problems in the world. And Malala once said, and I want to meet her one day. I'm going to interview her on this show one day, I promise you. I got to make it happen. But Malala once said that with guns you can kill terrorists, but with education you can kill terrorism. So give me 1 second to tee this up here. Here we go. I want to thank you all for allowing us to build a school here.
ndashaka kubashimira cyane kubw'ubufatikanye no kwemera yuko ibikorwa nk'ibi byaza muri community yacu.
I'm so impressed by how beautiful this country is.
Ngona byanshimishije cyane kubona uburyo iki gihugu cyanyu ari cyiza cyane.
And how amazing everybody is here too, and thank you.
Muri abantu beza hano, muri abantu beza cyane.
Thank you.
Murakoze cyane.
So we're here in Rwanda, beautiful Rwanda, at Project Magu. We just purchased the land from a number of different people. Vital had to talk to a gazillion government officials, and we put it all together. And so it's about an acre, as you can see right here. And what we're going to do is construction will start in about a month. Given COVID, things have been pushed back a bit. And it's a much more ambitious project than we expected because we're going to have 5 buildings on the campus here. We're going to have a computer lab, also a carpentry center, a welding center, and 2 meeting rooms as well. Right, so there's a lot going into this. It's going to be completely self-sustainable as well, good for the environment. We have 50 Raspberry Pi computers, and we're using Raspberry Pi because they don't take up much electricity. And we're going to have 40 solar panels on the roof as well. Completely self-sustaining, good for the environment, etc. And thank you so much for setting all this up.
Thank you so much kicking this up, and it's gonna be great. And we are so grateful because one of the success that we already enjoyed is the people here, the people that sold us the land. They understood the reason behind this. They didn't just sell the land because of money. They understood the reason, and they were willing to even sell their houses. There is this house, for example, and we were just grateful that people understood and they back the idea up. And so we are so grateful. And it's not just a computer lab, but it's going to be really a learning center and and bringing the community together. There is more than one thing that's going to happen. They're going to learn, people are going to learn, and they're going to also kind of have a place where they can come and connect again and build their community. So we are grateful. Thank you so much.
Amazing,
Chris,
dude. I remember. So I met Vital about 2 years ago at a Udemy conference.
Yes,
Udemy conference in Berlin, and we said we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you're my hero, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Nelson Mandela, God bless him, once said that education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world. Now, we had an awesome trip in Rwanda last week, and our goal is eventually to get Elon Musk to provide us with free satellite internet access for the schools that we're building. And this was the crux of a TEDx talk that I gave way back in 2016. Now, a lot of the profits from my courses and my MBA program are going to go to fund schools. And for now, what we're doing is we're using mobile phone internet access initially for the schools. And our schools are going to be 100% solar powered and self-sufficient. So let me play a very quick behind the scenes video on our trip to Rwanda and the school that we're building. And then what we'll do is we'll move on to the usual Q&A for the rest of this weekly call. And my Chief Creative Officer, Matt Lacousse, did a wonderful job putting these together. Thank you, Matt. So the whole country is going into lockdown this Saturday for a week. So thank goodness we arrived when we did. But it's been a great trip so far. I thought it'd be a lot hotter here. It's actually not. It's about 65 degrees right now. Not bad for 120 kilometers south of the equator. Yeah, beautiful country. And we're walking here through a primary school. And our school we're going to build on an acre over here, we'll show you. And the average age of the students in our school, which is going to be quite large, is between 6 and 18, probably closer to 18, because there's going to be a computer lab there as well. So this is Magu, the village where Vital grew up. There's about 1,000 people here in the village. And again, that was the school that Vital went to. They've since built a couple more buildings around here. And we're going to power all of this as well using solar panels.
Okay. So, Chris, this was Hadihan Mogatan. So, this school, this classroom is my classroom. I was studying here in primary 5. Wow. This is new. This was an upgrade. This was an upgrade. We only had this one.
Right.
And I used to sit somewhere here.
Right here?
Yeah, but it's so tricky. It's so dirty. You can't sit either.
Okay.
You cannot sit. It's so... But used to sit like this.
Sit right here, yeah.
Man, you can sit. Screw it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah. Exactly. This is what Richard Branson says.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Screw it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Excellent.
So this will be the teacher, and we'll sit like this, and of course without a helm, without a mask. And this is
very cool.
This was my primary 5.
Love it. Very cool.
Great. So let me show you our land.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Beautiful. Let's do it.
Yeah. So let me show you, Chris, something. So that's how we collect water for rainwater.
Rainwater from the roof?
Yes, because we don't have water here.
Right.
So we have to use every strategy to collect water.
Right.
So they use this so far.
Smart. Very cool.
So Chris, this is Maria.
Nice to meet you.
She's like my mom.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up, we are neighbors, and her son is our friend, Protogène, who's gonna make the pictures.
Oh, cool.
He's right. He's almost here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so this is, I don't know how I'm gonna show you, but we are already in the land.
Oh, this is it. Cool. Nice.
So the school is here, and this I don't, how do you call these trees? I don't know.
It's the name. You have to say the Rwanda.
It's called Umuyenzi in
Yes,
Kinyarwanda.
Umuyenzi.
Umuyenzi.
Cool.
So we will just go. We'll make a tour about the land,
cool.
and wherever we pass, those are the boundaries of our land.
Okay,
Yeah?
great. Yeah, this is
Ready?
awesome. So this is it. This is where you're gonna build.
This is it. Like
Nice.
what you see here.
Beautiful. It's like an acre. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what are these here? Just
These are manioc. It's called manioc.
Okay.
So you cassava or manioc.
It's like potato. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like potatoes. So these are the borders of our land where we are going down to this side. That house is also included. So because we want to have an entrance to our land. So the project will be here. We'll be sitting here, and we want an entrance. So we were thinking that the entrance could be here. So, oh, careful, man. So the entrance will be here. That's the road, and then we can enter here. So we asked this guy if he can give us a small piece of land here for the road.
Okay, cool.
And then he said, yes, but what if you buy everything, and then you have until this tree, until here. And we went into negotiation, told Pastor and Musirikare if they can talk to him, and he presented interest that he wants to buy somewhere else. Then we have a big entrance. It will be great.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure that he understands that he has another land, that he doesn't just say that so that he gets money, and then after he doesn't have a place to stay, which we don't want. We want to help our people here, that when they take such a decision, that they understand why, and they have an alternative. Right. So now let's continue to the borders.
Hi.
Amakuru.
So this land, we want to buy it as well.
Okay, cool.
So that is a small road, and we want to buy this land as well, and if possible also this. So we are to expand.
Okay.
Yes.
So we had to purchase a number of different plots of land. We put them all together. It's about an acre right now. We had to get a lot of government officials involved with contracts and whatnot. It took longer than expected given COVID, but we're going to break ground within a month or so. So we got everything we need here. It's going to be 100% self-sustaining as well. Solar panels on the roof, and everything is going to be created here or customized here as well by locals. So even the Raspberry Pi computers, they're going to be assembled here. And we're using Raspberry Pi computers, 50 of them actually, for the students, because they actually don't use that much power. And so the 40 solar panels on the roof will power the Raspberry Pis in the 5 main buildings in the school.
Hey! Claude. Ça va? Chris? This is Claude.
Oh, hi, how are you? Very nice to meet you.
He's the Mudugudu leader. So Mudugudu is the smallest entity of government. So there is a government, there is a district, or province, district, sector, and the sector has like different cells. And then in a cell, there's like 10 small entities, and that is Umudugudu.
Okay.
And he's the leader of this Umudugudu. So our land sits in his Umudugudu. So, and he was helping us to coordinate people and to talk to people.
Well, please tell him thank you and really appreciate everything. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and this lady is also, she was one of the owner of this land. And she sold us this plot.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's keep walking around and see the land. So it was very strategic to take this place as well because of this road. Because the problem was like, where do we put the entrance?
Right.
So we negotiated that entrance where I was showing you. But now here we also have this road, so we can have multiple
Nice.
entrance to our land, which is...
Dude, it's way bigger than I thought. It's huge.
It's so huge. So you see, we are just near the school, which was really great. So when we scouted this land,
Right.
you remember when we talked, and I was like, we scouted different lands, and I was like, there is a land behind one school. You remember that?
Yep.
This is the land I was talking about.
Amazing. You pulled it off, man.
Yeah.
Nicely done. So they live completely off the land here, of course, and so this is it's rich in carbohydrates. This crop here is like a potato. They also have goats here, as well as cows and chickens, of course. Yeah.
So what we would do, like we thought, like if we build what we're gonna build on this plot, and the primary school is here, it will be also like an encouragement to the students here. Because they know, okay, it's not just a primary school. Maybe there is a chance. There's a hope. There is hope that when we don't find possibility to continue our studies, that we can do trainings.
Come here next.
Yeah.
So that's like a feeder school for this.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are back to where we started.
Cool.
So if you see now from here,
it's impressive. It's all of this here.
You can see where we started from.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
It's so huge. We thank God, really, because we were not expecting to get this big one. So we feel like, okay, we have something to start with. We can build what we are thinking. It will fit in. So, and expansion possibilities. That was also the thing. Like, can we expand if we grow bigger?
Yeah.
Can we expand? And there's that possibility.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Come
on, guys. Come on. Yeah. All right, smile.
All right, let's now move on to questions. So as you know, you can type your questions directly in the YouTube chat right now, or answer the questions in the order in which I receive them. If I miss somebody's question, post it again, because I do have senior moments. And by the way, when you watch that video, I did sound tired, right? It's exhausting. However, I've got a good hack for you. If you sound tired, and before I go live with my webcast now, what I do is I take a product here, and I'll never be sponsored by anybody, as y'all know. It's called Vocal Zone. So if you're going to an interview and you sound really tired, then you can pop one of these things. It's like a lozenge. Yeah, it's pretty good. Or you can use something called Voice 37 to make you sound a little bit less tired, that sort of thing. All right, cool. Let's do this. Thank you, everybody. Now, one last thing I want to mention before I answer questions is they won't let you, YouTube won't let you post an internet link. I won't even see the comment at all for some reason. Yeah. All right, let me kick it off with Andre, who wrote, greetings from Dallas, Texas. Good to see you. And Andre wrote, hey, Chris, I'm really enjoying the MBA program. Would you write me a referral on LinkedIn? Thanks. Yeah. So my policy is that I write referrals for people in the Platinum program after they graduate. And the reason is because after doing 3 hours of one-on-one calls with them over Zoom, I get to know them well. It's just easier for me that way to write a recommendation. Thank you. Next up, Vendel wrote, hey, Chris, what is the differences between selling and buying options? And why does selling an option have more risk? Great question. Yeah. So if you're bearish, meaning if you think a company their share is going to go down, I don't ever recommend shorting the stock. Shorting is the opposite of long. Because when you short a stock, your losses can be infinite if the stock goes up a lot. So instead of doing that, I recommend buying what's called a put. And when you buy a put, it's a small amount of money you pay. And the worst thing that can happen is you lose that small amount of money. But if the stock goes down a lot, you can make a lot of money. Okay. Now, in order for you to buy a put, Somebody has to actually write that offering for you, write the option. Okay, it's a market maker. And I'll explain this in a lot more detail later on this year in my complete options course, which I'm working really, really hard on. And when I learned options in university, I'm humbled to say I got the top grade at Columbia in my options class. But that's not saying much because I memorized stuff. I didn't really get it. But when you're taught statistics and options, it's so mathematical and complicated. And what I'm doing is I'm actually going to teach it in a fun way. This is a Galton board. So in that course coming up later this year, the complete options course, it's like 10 courses in one. I'm going to teach you statistics, hedging, and lots more stuff, which should be a lot of fun. And if you're, last thing I'll say is that if you're in my MBA degree program, it doesn't matter what year you bought the program. I'm going to add the content and all new content every year for you for free to around class 89 in the curriculum. And I'll send out a message to everybody already enrolled with more details. All right. Next up, Noman, how are you? Wrote, hey, Chris, hope you're doing well. Likewise. I use your daily schedule, but how do you improve your willpower? Yeah. So what I do from a willpower and motivation perspective is I try to take at least one day off a week. You know, in my religion, we rest on Sunday. A lot of my students in different religions rest on Friday and on Saturday as well. So I take one day off to just kind of rest and decompress. What I also do, and if you don't do that, you lose your willpower. What I also do is I schedule time for family every single day. I have dinner with the family. I schedule time for exercise as well, because if you treat this well, this works much, much better. And that helps me tremendously with my willpower. And I actually got complaints from my YouTube students earlier this year. People said, Chris, you sound tired. So what I did was I got rid of my chair in my office and I stand. And I've got a treadmill under my desk. And so I take at least 20,000 steps every single day. Every day. And that helps me stay motivated and happy as well. You know, it's kind of like my version of Prozac, to be intellectually honest, exercising, which helps a lot with my motivation and willpower. Last thing I'll say on this is I practice gratitude every day before I get out of bed. So before I get out of bed, I thank God for 10 things in this order. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, and these are my kids are a bit older now. A lot of blue going on today, yeah. I thank God for Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, Christine, my wife, my mom, my dad, my brother Jamie, my sisters Katie and Elizabeth, and you, my students. I'm grateful. If you practice gratitude every day before you get out of bed, I promise you'll get into a peak mental state every single day. Yeah. All right. Next up, Vipul is saying, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm always great. Thanks. Good to see you. Thank you. And No Mind wrote, can you please talk to us a little bit more about the Venture Capital Boot Camp in your MBA degree program? Yeah, absolutely. So it's in the third semester in the entrepreneurship track. There's 5 classes on it. Entrepreneurship 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of semester 3. And what I do in that class, in those 5 classes, and each class is about 3 hours long, what I do is I help you crystallize your thought process with a bunch of arrows in your quivers or tools in your toolbox so you can write a business plan. Okay, I give you everything. I teach you from scratch. And it's all based on experience I've had working in the venture capital industry over many years. I also have guest lectured a lot and been on panels at Stanford University Graduate School of Business for the MBA students. And there's a guy named Ilya who's a great VC teacher there, and he has me come into his classes a lot to judge business models and business plans. And I do a lot of one-on-one sessions with the Stanford MBA students as well to help them with their business models. And some of them have really taken off as well, and humbled to see. Yeah. So it's all based on my own experience. I've also done a lot of work with 500 startups. I invested in a company at 500 startups. I've actually set up boot camps as well in the past. I've set up a lot of venture capital conferences when I worked in venture capital with a lot of guest speakers like Andy Bechtolsheim, who was the first investor in Google. The guy's a rock star. And I've also been on the board at McGill University of the Dobson Cup. venture capital boot camp, where I'm humbly a Dobson scholar. And what happens is every year, and I haven't done it recently because I've been jammed, I go up to Montreal and I judge business models, and I mentor a lot of students over the phone as well. And I guest lecture a ton. I've also done this at Berkeley, where I've guest lectured and been on panels there as well. So the bottom line is I take everything from my experiences over the years, failures and some successes, and I teach my students how to start a company. Now, failing to plan is planning to fail. And that's my cheesy used car salesman quote of the day. But a lot of people don't write a business plan. And the problem with that is this. If you jump right into a business and you start it from scratch without planning, it can ruin your life. It can bankrupt you, hurt your personal life, etc. And so I pride myself in my MBA degree program, in the venture capital boot camp in the third semester. I pride myself in helping students start their own companies, write the whole business plan without putting any money down. I'm a firm believer in starting companies without spending a penny. That's right. And if you build a product that you want to sell, I recommend selling it first and then building it like Michael Dell pioneered with Dell Computer back in the 1980s. And for more details on this, what you can actually do is go to harounventures.com/affordable-MBA, all lowercase. harounventures.com/affordable-MBA for more details on the venture capital bootcamp and much, much more. Yeah. All right. And if you want, just go to my website, and I'll do this real fast, I promise you. But what you can do is you can go to my website, and let me go up here, and you can just do a search at the top here through Powersearch. You can just do a search on venture capital up here, just to get videos on what my thoughts are on venture capital and how to raise money from venture capitalists and whatnot. Dilution, venture capital versus private equity, how to get started in VC. And then right here, if you get a chance, this is where I was on I was being interviewed at Stanford MBA school, business school. It's an hour-long interview that I gave. You can click this and watch the interview as well. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then if you click here in the MBA program, if you've already registered, if you click here, you can go right to where I talk about venture capital, the boot camp, and all that stuff as well. It's global in nature. Okay, it's not just U.S. centric. Okay. Let me go back here to this one here. Okay, cool. All right, next up, I've got Sharif says hi. Hope you're doing well. And Noman is saying, what do you think about the big consulting companies launching their startup incubators and accelerator line of services? Yeah. So it's tough. I think probably the best case study in that is Bain, okay, Mitt Romney's company. Mitt Romney was a presidential Republican candidate in America years ago. Mitt Romney started Bain, which does private equity, some venture investing, but it's also a great consulting firm. Okay, and Bain is the only consulting firm that I think has done exceptionally well in that area. So I wouldn't invest, usually I wouldn't invest in venture deals backed by consulting firms. Kind of like I don't recommend buying mutual funds or insurance products to manage your money from insurance firms. I recommend going directly to the source, ETFs, etc. And so I'm not a big fan of consulting firms investing in startups. It's not their forte, not their core competency. Yeah. And the way it works in venture capital is there's about 10 venture capital firms in the world that get all the best deals, and the rest get the scraps. It's a tough industry. And if you look at the top 10 venture capital firms on the planet, about 1% of their investments become unicorns, meaning companies with a $1 billion market cap. The best VC firm in history, which we study in my MBA program, is Sequoia. SequoiaCap.com. Go there if you want to. Now, Sequoia has 5% of their investments in unicorn companies. And I proudly served on a board in the B round of a venture capital investment years ago that Sequoia led the A round for, which is a company called Cohesity. And I spent a lot of time with Sequoia executives. And there's a guy named Doug Leone at Sequoia. And I sat down with him for an hour, or an hour and a half actually, because I asked. Thank God he said yes. And I asked Doug, I said, Doug, you've been so successful in venture capital. What's your secret? How do you do it? And he told me that, the jockey is more important than the horse. They always look at the management team first, obviously. And then he told me something else, which kind of blew my mind. He said, we love, and I'm going to paraphrase this and butcher it, no disrespect to Doug, but he said, we love to invest in people and in companies where something happened to the entrepreneur when they were younger, which leads them to believe that they're not good enough, and maybe they have a chip on their shoulder. And by investing in people that want to prove the world wrong, these people that start these companies, they won't be tempted to sell their company for only $100 grand or $1 million. They want to make their dent in the universe. And the best example of this is Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, God bless him, and he has publicly disclosed this. He got beaten up a lot as a child for being a little bit different. And so for him, and for many great entrepreneurs like the late great Steve Jobs, they don't do it for the money. They want to put their dent in the universe, so to speak. They want to prove the world wrong. They don't want to sell out for even $100 billion. They're very long-term focused. Elon Musk, the guy's been talking about colonizing Mars for years, which is awesome. He's that long-term focused. And so the bottom line is the jockey's always more important than the horse. You want to invest in a great management team first and a great business model a distant second. And so I take all of my collective experiences, talking to the top people in venture capital, partnering with them over the years, and I embed that within my MBA degree program because I pride myself on teaching based on real life practical experience and not based on theory, which is a big problem with traditional MBAs. Yeah. All right. Next up, hey, Manas, how are you? Manas is one of my great students from India. Manas wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Thank you. Chris, please. Welcome back from Rwanda. Really glad you're back. Thank you. It was a great trip. First of all, tell me, what are 3 things you learned from the trip? Yeah. So I got to know a lot of people there really well. And I can't believe that country had the genocide crisis they had. And I'm wearing a pin from the Genocide Museum there as well. And that Genocide Museum trip changed me. So it was last Saturday. I went with my son Andrew, and we were tearing up at the museum. It's in Kigali, which is the biggest city in Rwanda, and there's 250,000 people buried in that very, very small museum. And for those of you not familiar with the geopolitical event that occurred back in 1994, there was an ethnic cleansing, disgusting movement in Rwanda, where about 1 million people were killed within a few months. And what I learned was that it was actually, I'm going to get political here, it was Belgium's fault. And so what happened was Belgium colonized Rwanda many, many years ago. And then what they did was they gave these cards to everybody in the country. And they identified them as different ethnic races. And then the Belgians kind of walked away and created this divide. And there was a lot of propaganda involved as well. So I blame Belgium. I also blame the French government. What happened was in the early 90s, the French government supported knowingly, they supported the one group of people in Rwanda that committed the genocide. And I also blame the United Nations. Kofi Annan, they didn't do enough to help with the genocide issue. And the whole world turned their back on Rwanda, which is disgusting. If Rwanda was, say, Saudi Arabia and had a ton of oil in the ground, then I'm sure governments around the world would go and rescue them as well. But history repeats itself, and man's inhumanity to man makes countless millions more. And in that genocide museum, they talked about the Holocaust a lot as well. They talked about genocide that occurred in Bosnia, and then also in Turkey. And it really upsets me with the Turkish government, actually, for not owning up to the fact that there was an Armenian genocide. And so museums like that one in Rwanda are really important to go visit, because history does repeat itself. Yeah, it's really moving. Again, I teared up, and that trip actually changed me. It changed me, yeah. So your question was, what are 3 things you learned? Number 1, history repeats itself. The second thing I learned that I was surprised about in Rwanda was that the security there is better than any country in the world, right? The airport security and whatnot, even it's not militant, it's a well-run country. But it's even better than if you go to Tel Aviv, the airport, or any American-based airport. The third thing I learned is from a healthcare perspective, they're doing it right in terms of trying to nip COVID in the butt. So there's a Delta variant, and they're very, very strict there, but nice. Very, very strict there about people that can come in and leave the country. I had to get tested 3 times as well. Yeah. All right, next up, Manas wrote, Jeff Bezos went to space for 11 minutes. How, I'll not ask, but like why? Does 11 minutes make sense? Maybe, but with the 11-minute thing, it made sense for Amazon in terms of stock value. Yeah, I don't think it has an impact on the stock value. Maybe slightly negative because Jeff Bezos is stepping away. And usually when a founder leaves a company or is no longer involved or has pet projects like owning a sports team, then that company can go into secular decline. Now, when it comes to Bezos stepping away, sort of, from Amazon, he made the right choice in choosing his successor, which is a brilliant man named Andy Jassy, who created Amazon's cloud division called Amazon Web Services. So it's a brilliant choice to select him as the head of the company. Kind of like it was a brilliant choice for Microsoft's board to select Satya Nadella as the CEO of Microsoft, because similar to Andy Jassy, what happened was Satya Nadella started Microsoft's version of AWS, which is called Azure. Okay. Next up, Hidden Creature wrote, hello, Chris. Hope you're well, likewise. How do you deal with rude people in the workplace and in life in general? Yeah. So a couple things there. If you're frustrated at work, and I say this with love in my heart, good. Because that will motivate you to get a better job or start your own company and put your own dent in the universe, so to speak. The second thing I'll say about dealing with rude people at work in corporate politics is you have to tell yourself this if you're unjustly criticized. Unjustified criticism is nothing more than a disguised compliment. So if people are criticizing you unfairly, just in your mind say thank you, you insecure schmuck. Thank you for complimenting me. Yeah. I hate corporate politics, and I'm really motivated to help all my students, get a better job and, take their careers to the next level or so. And I've been frustrated with corporate politics too. I remember I worked at Accenture years ago, and there was this associate partner who one night at 10 p.m., he asked me to print out a database report. And I tried really hard to do it, and I couldn't figure it out. And I went up to him, and I said, I'm so sorry. I've tried, but I can't figure it out. And he looked at me, and he said, it's because you're incompetent. And then he turned around and walked away. I was so frustrated, but I'm so grateful to God that happened, because that frustration forced me to get out of Accenture and eventually start my own company. Yeah. All right. And one more thing I want to say in this. If you're if somebody tries to bait you at work by making a comment, and no matter how you respond, they're going to use that against you, I want you to say 2 words. I understand. It works in all aspects of life, because you're not saying I agree with you or I disagree with you. You're just saying I understand. It works in relationships too, I think. Yeah. All right. Next up, Sharif wrote, you're awesome. Thank you. God bless. I love my students. Melody, how are you? Melody said, hi, Chris. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you. Great to see you. Melody is a teacher, and she's in my MBA program, and she's published courses on Udemy. She's a rock star. She's awesome. And every time I do a Zoom call with her, she has different colors on, which is fun. Yeah, good to see it. Good to see it. And thank you, Melody, for that comment on I think it was on YouTube the other day. God bless you. Moving on to Mike Flynn. Mike is saying, hey, Chris, I'm looking forward to your upcoming options course. Thank you. With this course, is it possible for someone to consistently make money trading options? No. You can't consistently make money. Now, when it comes to options, so the global stock market, the size of all companies added together is $90 trillion. Okay. The global derivatives or options market is 6 times bigger. It's massive, and nobody thoroughly teaches it the right way. That's what I'm trying to do. And so the reason that it's a much bigger market than the stock market is because with the stock market, you're trying to make money. With the options market, you're trying to make money and you're trying to protect money. You're hedging yourself, right? So options is not just about making money. It's about protecting your other positions in case there's a lot of volatility in the market. Yeah. And so I pride myself on, instead of giving my students a fish, I humbly teach them how to fish so they can eat for a lifetime, so to speak. Yeah. It's one of the many tools in my toolbox or arrows in my quiver I provide my wonderful students. Yeah. And that course will come out soon, the complete options course. Yeah. And again, if you're in the MBA program, a longer version of it's going to be added around class 89. Yeah. And I'm always adding more stuff every year. Okay, next up, Manas from India wrote, I hope Elon Musk is confused because Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos went to space while Elon is still planning. Your advice on this? Yeah, I'm shocked that Elon has not yet gone to space. Yeah. But I think he's much more capable space innovator than Sir Richard Branson or Jeff Bezos. Yeah. And Melody wrote here, I loved your video about Rwanda. That touched my heart. I'll attend on Monday. Awesome. Thank you. Next up, I've got M. Andrews, who wrote, hello from Madeline. Welcome back from Rwanda. Thank you. It's great to be back. Thanks. And I had a great trip. Anurag is saying, greetings, Chris. How was your vacation? It was great. Thank you. It was great. And I think you reached out to me a bunch of times on LinkedIn about a free course. I'm so sorry. I can't give away all my courses. Thank you, though. Yeah. Okay. And Naman wrote, hey, Chris, do you think Power BI, business intelligence, will take over Excel in coming years? Yeah. No, I don't. Because, and for those of you not familiar with Power BI, it's like Excel. It's made by Microsoft. And it's, or actually, I think it's made by Microsoft. It's a much more elaborate product. You can do a lot more than you can with Excel. But Excel it's already got a massive total addressable market. Anybody can use it. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. Okay. And Manas wrote here, I want to tell you something important last week. I was 1 second away from winning your giveaway. I was quick, but maybe someone was quicker than me. No issues. I love every webcast, and you're a goat. Greatest. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. God bless you. Yeah. And speaking of the MBA, what I'm going to do, which I do almost every week during my webcast, is I give away my $999 on-demand MBA program to one person on this call. And the way it works is this. I ask a question during the webcast based on what I taught earlier in the webcast, the 7 topics. And whoever answers it correctly wins the MBA program for free. Now, please don't answer the question or participate if you've already signed up for the MBA, though. Yeah. And the question will come up very, very soon. Thank you. All right. Next up, Anurag is saying, can an investor both have value and growth stocks in his portfolio? Yeah. I mean, it's a great way to hedge your bets. And the best way to think about portfolio management and diversification is something that private wealth managers teach and have for years, which is this. If you take your age, okay, If you take 100 minus your age, that's the percent of stocks you should have in riskier or growth stocks. Let me explain with an example. If you're 80 years old, 100 minus 80 equals 20. That means that 20% of your portfolio should be in riskier growth stocks and 80% in value-based investments. Another example. If you're 22 years old, 100 minus 22 is 78. That means 78% of your investment portfolio should be in riskier growth stocks and 22% in less risky value-based stocks. Because when you're younger, if you mess up investing, you got the rest of your life to make up for it. Yeah. The problem with that, though, is that's such an old school concept from a private wealth management perspective, because people live well into their hundreds now. And I believe there are people in this call who will make it to 150. Yeah. All right. Next up, Vendel said, is this Zoom deal a merger arbitrage? Yeah, there's always arbitration opportunities with all deals that take place. And for more details on that, just please rewind to the first topic today where I talked about the deal in a lot more detail. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. And thank you as always. Yeah. Next up, Anurag said, Dear Chris, if somebody wants to build Berkshire Hathaway in modern days, what would be your advice on the roadmap of building it, any business plan? Yeah. For those of you not familiar with Berkshire Hathaway, it's the name of the mutual fund that Warren Buffett manages. And the reason it's called Berkshire Hathaway is because one of Warren Buffett's early investments in the 1950s or so was in a cotton-based company called Berkshire. And so if you want to build your own hedge fund or mutual fund, so to speak, I recommend working in the industry first so you can get some credibility, and then you can go out and try to raise money to do it yourself, which I teach in my MBA degree program. Always have a lawyer write all your financial documents, though, when you're trying to raise money, because you need to be protected if something goes wrong. Yeah, and of course, register your company name as well, so they can't come after your family, whatever. Yeah, and you can always go to LegalZoom.com and hire a lawyer there for like $30 per half-hour call. Yeah, and y'all know I'm not sponsored by anybody and I never will be. Yeah. Okay, next up, Dear Chris, you have a great network. Can your students leverage your network for raising money into their business or for a job? Yeah, I don't do that. What I do is I teach my students how to network on steroids. Yeah, because relationships are more important than product knowledge. Yeah. Thank you, though. Next up, M. Andrews wrote, very, very helpful information about Zoom, 5.9, mergers, the 8K termination fee, and what to listen for. Thanks. You're most welcome. It was fun putting that together yesterday. Yeah, thanks. We've got E. Pronto from Toronto. I remember you. How are you? I'm from Toronto as well. So E. Pronto wrote, a company trading on the TSX, that's the Toronto Stock Exchange, and I worked on the IPO and I worked at Goldman on that deal back in 2002. A company trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange, the TSX, has now started trading on the US exchange as well. I cannot find the S1 for this company. Is this expected? Yeah. So it's a little bit different in different countries. So what you want to do is you want to search for what is the SEC equivalent in your country name. In Canada, it's something called CEDAR. So go to CEDAR's website. It's a government website. Yeah. That I think is it's actually regulated by the OSC, the Ontario Securities Commission. Yeah. Next up, I've got Camilo, who wrote, Chris, I'm currently doing the crypto course, and it wasn't clear how to access your paper wallets that we printed on Wallet Generator. Yeah. So the way to do it in the exercise in that course is what you do is you go to walletgenerator.net, I think. And then you can actually create a paper wallet there, and you save the HTML. I'll do this quickly. You save the HTML page on your computer, and then you create a paper-based wallet on your computer by moving your mouse around. It creates a secure algorithm. Okay, that's how you create it. Yeah, and I just updated the course on all platforms as well. Yeah. Okay. Dude, Pratik, how are you, man? Pratik is one of my amazing students from London. He's currently in the process of setting up an amazing rehab facility in Bermuda. He's a great guy. Yeah, Yeah. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah. And show me pictures of you know what next time we talk. Yeah. Thanks. Stella, how are you? Stella graduated from and critiques in my MBA program this year. Stella graduated last year from my MBA program. She's from South Korea. She is awesome. And she used to work at the Four Seasons, great Canadian company. So Stella wrote, hey, Chris, I missed you and your classmates. Likewise, I miss you too. Just wanted to swing by to say hi. Hope everyone's doing well. Likewise. And congratulations on going to Halt as well this fall. Vendella is saying, what is happening with lumber and what does that mean? Yeah. So lumber, we know, of course, is the biggest input into the housing industry. Given the fact that interest rates are basically zero in many countries, what's happened is governments have incentivized people to not save money. Don't leave it in the bank because interest rates are low. So a lot of people are buying houses, right? A massive bubble is being created. As a result of interest rates being low and the housing industry booming in many countries, the price of inputs are going up a lot for a lot of commodities, including lumber. Yeah. Okay. Mohammed is saying, why am I here? I don't know. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right. Pratik wrote here, will I have the lifetime access of your course? Yes. And actually, I think I might have made a mistake. Is that the same Pratik? I have two Pratiks in my MBA program. Yeah. So you wrote, will I have lifetime access, or maybe it is you, to your course? Yeah, whenever you buy any of my courses or my MBA program, you get lifetime access, including new content I add to the MBA program every year. Yeah. It's a good deal or your money back. There's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee on all my courses and my MBA program as well. You got nothing to lose, everything's gain. All right, moving on to Pearl. Pearl wrote, hi, Chris. Funny, I also get excited about my 1 cup of coffee per day. I love it. I only get one of these. And I put it in this container because I found when I drank it out of a normal cup, when it gets lukewarm, I would just finish it and get another cup. This is all I get for the day. Yeah, it's good. Mr. Invisible, how are you? Give me 1 second, guys, here, please. Mr. Invisible wrote, Chris, hope you're doing well, likewise. What is regression analysis in financial modeling? Did you put this in your MBA program when you talk about financial modeling? I did. So a couple things I want to talk about when it comes to statistics. Number one, when you're valuing a company, you have to do a sensitivity analysis. Okay, and I'll get to regression in a second. You have to do a sensitivity analysis. You know, like what if interest rates change a bit or the terminal value of a company changes a bit? What happens from a statistical perspective to your target price? So I cover that in a lot of detail. In terms of regression analysis and measuring volatility and different Greek variables like delta, gamma, rho, vega, I'm adding that to class 89 in the MBA degree program when we talk about options. And I'm also going to teach you how to download data and calculate implied volatility as well, which is kind of like a regression analysis. And that, again, that's coming up in class number 89. Yeah. Looking for patterns in the data. Okay. Next up, Sharif wrote, the feeling of building something useful can't be described. Hope all of us do the same. Yeah, it gives you, this whole Rwanda thing, it gives me a sense of purpose as well. And as I mentioned, a lot of the profits from my MBA program and my courses goes to building schools, right? And so I'm way over my head right now, to be honest. You saw in that video, I've got a lot of stuff to do still. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, as I always do. But I feel like this. Whenever I undertake a new goal in my life, this is going to be out there, but it explains who I am. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, and I throw off airplane parts. And then I jump off the cliff, and I try to assemble the airplane before I land. I love that feeling of being over my head and trying to do something big, whatever. Yeah. I got this from the Rwanda Genocide Museum. Yeah. Oh, this is called passion fruit. It's the second best food in the world after dosa in India. I got this from Rwanda. I brought a ton back. It's so good. If you haven't tried passion fruit yet, you got to try it. It's It's the best candy you'll ever eat. It's a great fruit. Yeah. All right. Next up, Mark, who goes by Satones here. He's in my MBA program. Mark's business plan longer term is so long-term focused and cool. He wants to actually mine natural resources on asteroids. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Elon Musk would love to meet you. So Mark is saying, will you be teaching about investing in real estate? I will. I'm adding that to the curriculum. We've talked about mortgages and whatnot and personal finance in the curriculum, but I'm going to be adding a lot more stuff based on real estate, based on a number of buildings that I bought over the past few years in Southern Ontario, London, Ontario to be exact, where I was born. Yeah. It's all based on real life practical experience. Yeah. Next up, I've got Garvit, who wrote here, when are you writing your article in the New York Times? I mentioned that years ago in a vlog. I remember that. Yeah. So I'm humbled to say I've been profiled or written articles in tons of publications, but not the New York Times yet. And I want to do it because my dad up in Canada, he reads the New York Times every day. And I want him to, he's from Egypt. I want him to read it one day and then say, oh, Habibi, Chris wrote an article. Yeah. I've tried. The way to get published in New York Times is you have to submit an article on their website, and you have to have a lot of sources as well. I'm trying, but I've failed so far, but I'll get there, hopefully. Knock on wood. Next up, Hari. Hey, Hari. Hari's in my MBA program. I wrote Real Cause, Beautiful Initiative by Chris and Vital. Thank you, Hari. And Hari's an expert in the glass market. He lives in Minnesota. Good dude. Moving on to Andre, who wrote, wow, Chris, you're awesome. Thank you. How can I volunteer to teach at the school in the future? Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So what's going to happen is we're building out the school this year, okay, in Rwanda. Next year, we do Kenya with another one of my MBA students, a different one. And the year after that, we do Nigeria with another one of my amazing MBA students named Kemi. And the year after that, we do South Africa with Kim and Andrew Cooper, husband and wife team from there. So I'm going to be making a lot of mistakes. Once I figure it out, I'll have a blueprint to share with you. And I'll also share it with Bill Gates and the Bill Gates Foundation. I met Bill a number of times and see if we can deploy that globally. And then we'll get more people involved. But what I also want to do is I want to get my MBA students or anybody actually, you don't have to be my student, to come with me to Rwanda next year to actually help build the second phase of the building. Phase 1 of the school is going to be the computer center. Phase 2 is going to be the 4 other buildings that we build, which I talked about in the videos. Thank you. Moving on to Demian. Demian Valenzuela, who's from Barcelona. He's in my MBA program. Good dude. Demian wrote, Dear Chris, hope you're well. Likewise. I just want to say many thanks for sharing the Project Magu. Education is the key to freedom. Amen to that. And then you wrote, God bless you and all the people involved. Big hug from Barcelona. Big hug right back at you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful city. Yeah. All right. Next up, and I've got Raquel Cespedes, one of my amazing MBA students, is also from Barcelona. You should reach out to her as well and network with her. She's awesome. Yeah. Okay. And then Pearl wrote, good on you, Chris, for the project. Thank you. It's all Vital. Yeah. He's amazing. Yeah. And also Yannick, who's Vital's friend, who's a rock star German engineer. Good guy, too. Yeah. All right, next up, David Yerman. And I always smile when I see your name because my wife bought fake David Yerman jewelry years ago. Yeah. But David, who's got a dope name, wrote, Chris, you've said before, once a founder leaves, that you should exit the investment. Microsoft's at an all-time high, and Jeff just stepped down. How should I approach these tech giants? Yeah. So I would do research on Andy Jassy if you want to, and assess what you think of him as a manager. And in my MBA program, I provide you with a lot of templates and tools on how to assess people as well. Yeah. But separately, when I got to be careful what I say here, but from companies that I've invested in on the short side in the past, whenever a founder buys a big sports team, this is out there. Whenever they buy a big sports team, it's about ego, and they're taking their eye off the ball a bit, and the company doesn't do as well. You want to invest in people that are 100% committed to growing their company. You could read between the lines there if you want to. Rose, how are you? Rose graduated from my MBA program last year. She's awesome. She's based in the great state of Virginia here, and she headed up the yearbook committee last year and made an amazing yearbook. So Rose wrote here, great, I can't wait for the news course content. Yeah, it's going to be fun. You'll love it. It is taking me a while to put it together because it's like what I'm doing is I'm trying to teach it in a way that is enjoyable instead of being overwhelming. Yeah, and so I've got Lego bricks here as well, and this will make more sense to you when you watch Class 89 in the MBA program. But what I'm doing is I'm teaching you one concept at a time when it comes to options so that it all makes sense. Yeah. It's really complicated. I'm trying to teach students how to value options using the binomial pricing theory, as well as using Monte Carlo simulation, which is tricky, as well as Black-Scholes. Yeah, and I exchange emails with Myron Scholes, actually. He's a professor at Stanford. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Sharif wrote, if game theory analysis conflicts with optimization theory, does I can only study game theory as a learning a shortcut? Yeah. I'm not sure what optimization theory is, to be intellectually honest. Yeah, but game theory, it's kind of like the Queen's Gambit, that show on Netflix. It's like when you're playing chess. You can't just think one move ahead. You got to think multiple moves ahead, always in business. Yeah. Yeah, and when game theory is taught, it's so theoretical too. In business school, I teach you about the null hypothesis, and yeah, it's too theoretical. All right, humbly, I think. Next up, we got Hui, who wrote, hey, Chris, should we start a business franchise? And how do we make a franchise successful? Yeah, so I recommend writing a full business plan first, which we do in the Venture Capital Bootcamp of my MBA degree program. What I'd be very, very careful of, and I looked into opening a franchise of Subway back in the 90s. I did well, humbly, in the stock market. I wanted to diversify into real estate back in the 90s. And I did a ton of research on Subway, which is the biggest franchise company in the world, bigger than McDonald's now in terms of locations. What I found is that the problem is if your Subway store, for example, from a franchise perspective, is doing very, very well, Subway management, the company as a whole, they can open a store very close to yours as well and cannibalize your revenue. So make sure you understand, number one, cannibalization, and number two, what the annual fees are as well, like 15% of profits, etc., go to the mothership. So I would look at that in detail and always write a business plan first before tying up a lot of capital, because failing to plan is planning to fail. Moving on to Shihan, who wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, how would you compare the investments and returns of crypto versus public equity? In your opinion, which one is better? Yeah. So I teach my students how to analyze cryptocurrencies using 49 steps, kind of like creating an S1 document, which is the model for that I use in my course and a more updated version of my MBA program. And I have to say that I think most cryptocurrencies are an absolute scam. And I've done a lot of research on this. Now, I own 4 cryptos, and I'm never selling them. Please do your research on what I'm about to mention. Don't just buy them. I own Bitcoin. I own Ether, which trades in the Ethereum platform. I own Litecoin, and I own Ripple. But there's now more cryptocurrencies out there than there are paper-based fiat currencies. It's a massive bubble, and most of them are a scam. So when you do your investment research on cryptocurrencies, make sure you understand the supply dynamics in the long run. Hopefully there's a limit on supply. It gets dangerous, really dangerous, and only invest what you can lose. I'm a bigger fan of stocks because when you invest in stocks in regulated markets like the United States and many other countries, you're given the right to read a lot of financial documents. In the United States, you can go to sec.gov and do a lot of research. When you invest in a cryptocurrency, the only research you can do is like a 10-page PDF, which is like a technical white paper. You can do more research as well, but it's not regulated. I think there should be some sort of loose regulation, a little bit, because too many people are getting scammed. And I know people are getting scammed because I had to disable comments on a lot of my cryptocurrency videos. I have one video that's got over 100,000 views, whatever, on YouTube. I had to turn off comments because everybody is scamming other people. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So I would just be careful. Yeah. All right. Next up, Sharif wrote, Chris, how did you gain your soft skills? You walk comfortably and talk very well. Thank you. I wasn't always like this, and I still make a lot of mistakes, humbly. But I got to a point in my life where I just said to myself, I don't give a damn what people think of me. And you got to do the same as well. Let me do a fun little exercise here. Let me go up top here to PowerPoint. I haven't done this in a while. This will be fun. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you really quickly a chart that's going to change your life. All right. So those are my notes. Let me try again. Hold on a second. See if it worked. It's not working. Damn it. Okay. All right. Rather than waste your time, I'll just visually talk about it. I've got this pen set up here for my computer up top, but I'll just talk about it. Okay. So the way to take your public speaking career to the next level, in addition to practicing a lot, is you've got to kind of reassess your life, or at least I have, humbly, by looking at a chart. And I'll use this prop here to talk about the chart. Okay, this is my 3 wonderful kids. Okay. So on the x-axis of this chart is your age. On the y-axis is give a damn. When you're younger, you're a kid like my kids, you're down here. You're young, you don't give a damn what people think of you. You have meltdowns in restaurants, you just don't care. When you're older, you're here. Old people don't have confidence problems. They just don't care. The problem is when you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, you're up here. Okay, remember this is age, give a damn. When you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you're right here. You care what people think of you, right? I'm not telling you to be reckless or disingenuous, but when you care what people think of you and you're insecure, which I was very insecure for many years, you don't reach your full potential because you're thinking about how to please other people. And I call this the triangle of despair, and you need to avoid this at all costs in your life. You need to live at this level here, which is how all the best entrepreneurs and world beaters think. They live at this level here. Like Elon Musk, he doesn't care what people think. He doesn't care. A lot of great entrepreneurs don't care, and they fail over and over and over again, and they don't care because in business, you only have to be right one time. So if you live at this level right here for the rest of your life, you'll be much happier because you won't give a damn about trying to, live someone else's life by making them happy. Live at this level. Do what you want to do career-wise and ignore everybody else. And that way you'll become more confident and be able to speak more eloquently or speak good or whatever it is. Yeah. But I practice a lot too, and you can practice too. You can go to meetup.com and do a search on Toastmasters in every country. Toastmasters is a free organization that you can join to practice public speaking in person or over Zoom. As Tony Robbins said, I met him a number of times, good dude, repetition is the mother of all skill. And when I met him, dude, his hand wrapped around mine 18 times. He's a big guy, yeah. And he's the real deal too. He's a good guy, yeah. It's not just show, he's real. All right. Next up, Raquel wrote here, and I mentioned you earlier, Raquel, in the call. Raquel's one of my amazing MBA students. Raquel wrote, what a wonderful project. High five back at you. Building schools in Rwanda. I love the video. Congratulations again, Chris and Vital. With education and technology, you will change the world. Amen to that. And Raquel is a PhD and an expert in water-based issues. And she's offered to help us as well when it comes to collecting water, aside from using rainwater for our schools. Thank you. All right, next up, we've got Rediana, who's in my MBA degree program as well. She's awesome. Who wrote, congratulations, Chris and Vital. This is amazing. You're changing lives. Yeah, my students are amazing. And every year, I'm building a different school in a different country with different MBA students of mine that I've gotten to know. Yeah. And I hope I go broke. 50 Cent said he wants to get rich or die trying. For me, I'm going to teach or die trying. Yeah, I'm trying. Tado is saying hello. Bonjour. Hope you're doing well. Next up, we got Michael. God bless you. Michael Reynolds lives up in Sonoma, which is by Napa Valley, 40 minutes north of San Francisco. And he donated $300 at projectmagu.org to help us out. God bless you, Michael. You've made a couple donations, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. You are changing lives. Thank you. And Michael runs an amazing not-for-profit. He's done wonderful things, and he's going to continue to do amazing things. Thank you. So Michael wrote here, praise God for his providing this land and opening the hearts of so many that support it. I love it. Thank you. May his spirit and guidance and support continue to be with all involved. Thank you for leading with your heart. Thank you. And God bless Vital. He's very spiritual. And right before my son Andrew and I left to go to the airport to leave Rwanda on Saturday night, this past Saturday, we went to visit with Vital's mom, and she's wonderful. And Vital calls her a prayer warrior. And my son Andrew's had this awful wrist injury for years. And Vital's mom said a wonderful prayer, and his wrist, there's no more pain. It's gone. It's gone. Amazing. All right. Next up, Muhammad wrote here, is there an AI option available in your MBA course? I'm your student. Fantastically explained topics-wise. You're great in the world. Thank you. Yeah. I don't really have anything AI-based. There are some algorithms we talk about when using Excel, including the goal seek and solver function. And we do statistical analysis as well, but nothing really that advanced when it comes to AI. If there's demand for it, I'll certainly make it. And there's a lot of demand right now for options, real estate, as well as arbitration and negotiation. So I'm adding that stuff because my students have asked. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. A lot of people want me to add negotiation and arbitration stuff, which I'll add as well. Yeah. All right. Next up, Hui wrote, will the extended version of your options course be added to the Silver MBA program? Absolutely. Absolutely. It will also be added to class number 89. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Next up, I've got Steve, who wrote, hey, Chris, I commend you on the success of your Rwanda trip. Thank you. Great start. God bless you more. Thank you. I believe your next trip will be to Nigeria with Kemi Tade. I've connected with her already. Thanks. Appreciate that. So 2021, this year, we're doing Rwanda. Next year, 2022, I'm partnering with another one of my amazing students in Kenya. And then 2023, we'll be doing Nigeria. And thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay. And I think we'll probably name the school for Kemi in honor of her late great mother as well. And I'm working with, I will be working with her father as well, whose name is Wahle. And I'm looking here because in order to pronounce the names correctly of my students, I paste on the top of my monitors. All right. ePronto from Toronto is saying, hello again, Chris. Hey, man. I guess I wasn't clear with my earlier question. Is a company already trading on the TSX? Do they have to submit an S1 form in order to start trading on the U.S. exchange? No. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, right, for ADRs, or American Depository Receipts. There are other forms they have to submit, though, right, like the 20F, which is like an annual report for foreign-based companies listed on U.S.-based markets. Yeah. Moving on to James. James wrote, Chris, good morning. Good morning to you too, James. Every morning's a good morning. I met Andre Rayford, who's also in your program by chance. Pretty neat stuff. The world's a small place. Yeah. And in my MBA program, my students get to network a lot with each other using Slack, which is free to access. Yeah. And we got a really great alumni community set up as well. Yeah. Next up, we've got Sarthak, who wrote, I just joined your cryptocurrency course. I've completed 20% of it, 5 out of 5 rating. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. And again, we just updated as well because some of the content was getting a bit stale. Yeah. And thank you to Daniil, who headed up that effort, who works with me. He's great. And he used to be my TA, actually. Good dude. When I taught at a bunch of business schools during the evenings universities. Next up, Peyton. Peyton, how are you? Peyton is one of my amazing MBA students. He just started a great company. I don't know if I can talk about it yet, but he's a good dude. He's in the U.S. Navy. He's from Hawaii originally. He lives now in San Diego, and he and his wife are moving back to where she's from, which is Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's got a great YouTube channel. Please follow him. He's awesome. He's going to be a giant. Yeah. So Peyton wrote here, love you, man. I love you more, brother. Your brother from another mother, man. Good to see you. This man is by far one of the most influential people in my life. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, man. Thank you. I love you. I love you. Thanks. Next up, we've got Sensetsa. First time I've seen you on the call, Sensetsa. I hope you join us again, and thank you. So Sensetsa wrote here, great work giving back in Africa, and what you just shared about your future dreams. There is great potential and great need. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And as I mentioned before, I hope I go bankrupt because I want to take every penny and invest in starting schools all over the world. Yeah. And again, the profits, a lot of the profits, and if you're one of my employees, don't worry, I'll pay you well, including a nice bonus at the end of every year, which I always do. But a lot of the profits from my part of it, my profits will go towards building schools for the rest of my life. Yeah. All right. Next up, I've got Sarthak, who wrote, I'm just 18, and I wanted to know from how much can I start investing in crypto so I can earn enough money to pay for college tuition for my computer science degree. Yeah. So if you're in computer science, depending on where you're located in the world, I recommend looking into mining cryptocurrencies. And I'm currently mining Ether right now. And that's the easiest way to make money. But you got to make sure that the cost of electricity from a kilowatt hour perspective is low enough for you to make money. And let me show you really quickly. And next week I'll pretty this up. I'll fix this here. But if you want, you can actually check out my cryptocurrency computer. I think it's crypto or crypto course. Yeah, here it is here. So I'm currently mining with my son Dylan Ether, okay, which is on the Ethereum platform. And so I teach you how to mine actually, and it's mining right now and has been for a long time. I've been doing this for several years. So I'm currently mining Ether, okay, and my balance here is $252. And once we get to point two of an Ether, it automatically gets sent directly to my public key here, which is my account in my hot wallet called Coinbase, which I explain in more detail in the course. But I explain to you how to do mining from scratch, how to build a computer from scratch. I make it really easy and fun to do as well. Yeah, and you can see here, these are hash rates, meaning how hard my computer is working. And I'm currently mining at 34 mega hashes per second. Yeah. All right. Whoops. Go back here. And let me go here and make a bigger version of Chris. Hey there. Okay. All right. And I've got a bit of the screen is kind of messed up in the corner. That's okay. Because as Salvador Dali said, if you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got next here. Cole wrote, hey, Chris. Hey, Cole. How would you find a boutique private equity firm's average salary without having to ask that blunt question to someone? I found that Glassdoor isn't too accurate. Yeah. So boutique firms, for those who are not familiar, means smaller firms, right? There's a lot of boutique investment banks, which means smaller investment banks that don't get as much publicity or media attention as the Goldman Sachs of the world. The best way to find out what the salary can be for those private equity firms, investment banks, etc., is go to Glassdoor and do a search on the larger private equity firms. Like you can look at KKR, for example, which is Henry Kravis's firm. Yeah, you could do that, or do a search on a bunch of other large private equity firms there, because the salary you're getting will be somewhat commensurate, maybe at a bit of a discount. Yeah. And Henry Kravis is a great guy. I met him. He went to my business school. He was a straight C student. He went way before I did. And he came one day to present on private equity. And I sat front row center, and I was so excited to learn about deals that he was going to talk about. Like when he took Nabisco, which is the National Biscuit Company, private in the late 80s. And all he talked about during the hour and a half when he presented at Columbia Business School where I went, all he talked about was charity, and not just giving money, but giving your time. And I love that he did that, and he had a big influence on me as well, which is why I'm not just giving money, but I'm giving my time. Yeah. All right. And if you want to learn more about private equity, you can read a great book called Barbarians at the Gate. You'll love that. Or you can watch a movie called Other People's Money with Danny DeVito. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Sensetsa said, Chris, all the best, and may what you do to give to others continue to grow and make a big impact on people's lives. Thank you. It's why we're all here. You always want to leave this planet humbly putting your mark on the world to make the world a better place than when you entered it. Yeah. Gives you a sense of purpose, too. All right, moving on to Garvit, who wrote, your advice that the best investments made are the ones in platforms. Why is that? Yeah. So when you invest in companies, the way to invest in companies that are going to grow a lot faster is if they own the road, okay? So this keyboard here, pretend it's the road. And I'll give you examples too. So eBay is an auction-based platform. Facebook is a social media platform, even though they don't write any social media content themselves. eBay doesn't actually create any products or sell any products. It's just a platform they own. Thing with YouTube. YouTube doesn't create their own content. It's a platform. I'll get to my point in a second. Okay. So what happens is this, and iOS is a platform. Also, Google, the Android store, is a platform. And all those companies I just mentioned, what they do is, this is the road, their platform, and they charge the cars, or the toll booths, so to speak. And if you get somebody else to create all the content on your platform and incentivize them to do it, then you can take a fee from that longer term. And so the best investments in venture capital history are platform-based business models. And Peyton, one of my wonderful MBA students, is creating an incredible platform as well. I won't disclose the name until you want me to, where he's getting a lot of people to join his platform and create the content. And then he'll make money off of that as well. Instagram's a platform as well. Last thing I'll say on this is when it comes to Facebook, and I've really thought hard about pulling off of Facebook in terms of advertising. I don't post there personally anymore because I don't think the company's ethical. You can't avoid Facebook though when you're running a business. It's hard because, and this will blow you away, 44% of people on this planet use at least one Facebook app every single month. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. And I use WhatsApp all the time when I was over in Rwanda as well. Yeah. And as much as I criticize Mark Zuckerberg, he does a great job with acquisitions because he buys companies and lets them run independently for a decade. And then kind of like with Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Then he monetizes it. Yeah. All right. Moving on to David Yerman, wrote, Chris, I'm picking up what you're putting down between the lines. I'm amazed at what you're doing in Africa. Thank you. You're so busy that it seems like you don't sleep. I lost steam since my baby came. Yeah. I remember when we had our first kid, Andrew. It was a lot of work, man. And I got to tell you, for those of you that don't have kids yet, when you have kids, what you want to do is get your mother and father-in-law to help out a lot, right? They'll love to help because this is family. And when you have kids, the outlaws become the in-laws. I can't retract that statement. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I have great in-laws, but always ask for help. People want to help you, and you're doing them a favor as well because the grandparents want to help. Yeah, and that will help you with time management as well. Yeah, but dude, enjoy every second, man, because by the time your kids are 12 years old, statistically, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. You can't get that time back, and you can only be happy now. And I remember I used to walk my kids, these two at least before Dylan was born. I used to walk, these guys are a year and a half apart. I used to walk them in a double stroller. And I remember there would always be older people that would walk by me on the streets that would look at them and then give me a really warm smile. despite the fact that I felt kind of stressed out. Enjoy that moment. Stop to smell the roses along the way. You can't get that time back. Okay, moving on to Garvit. Garvit wrote, do you think the United States government is going to make its own cryptocurrency? I do. I think they'll be slow to do it because the US dollar is kind of like a monopoly on global currency right now. It is what it is. They'll be slow to do it. They'll monitor different countries like El Salvador and China and see how their cryptocurrency offering goes. I'm worried about the Chinese government, though, because their crypto is going to be tightly monitored and they'll be able to track every transaction in the country. Kind of like they have facial recognition software to recognize hundreds of millions of people in China, right? So the great thing about America, and look, we have a lot of problems here. The great thing about America is that there are a lot of checks and balances in place from a privacy perspective to make sure that liberty is the epicenter of the essence of America. And I think the European Union is great as well when it comes to privacy rules. But what's going to happen is Jerome Powell, who's the Federal Reserve chairperson, the manager of the store of money in America, he's already commissioned a study, which MIT is working on right now, which is almost done, to suggest how the U.S. should come out with their own cryptocurrency longer term. Yeah. Okay. And Patricia wrote, hey, Patricia. Patricia wrote here, I'm not sure if you're the one that I exchanged messages with in my MBA program, but if it is you, I hope you enjoy that video I sent you, and thank you for your support. Patricia said, I'm still not sure about crypto. I remain skeptical. Yeah, and so am I. Most cryptos are an absolute scam. Yeah, and only invest in cryptos where you can afford to lose that money. Yeah. So for me, I bought those 4 cryptos I mentioned earlier. I'm never selling them. And the way that I invest in cryptos also is by mining a lot, which I teach in my courses. Yeah. And then, it is you. Okay, Patricia wrote, I've become a big fan of the MBA course and Chris H. Thank you. God bless you. I'm looking forward to our call coming up. I think you booked on July 27th, a 20-minute slot. Yeah. Looking forward to it. And thank you. And just remember, there's a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. I know you mentioned you want to upgrade from silver to platinum. But embedded in that is there's still a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. Thank you for your support. Yeah. Moving on to David Yerman, who wrote, I thank you for inspiring me to be better, to be family-oriented, holy, and always striving for better. Stay blessed and keep blessing us with knowledge. Thank you. God bless you so much more. Thank you. My students inspire me so much. Okay. All right, moving on to Sensetsa. Sorry. Do you want to expand to other, pardon me, do you want to expand to other African countries by any chance? I do. I want to do one country every year. But I don't want to make this just about Africa. I'm actually going in 2025, I've got a lot to do, with Christian and Christina Hong, 2 of my MBA students. What we're going to do is we're actually going to be building a school in Brazil, which is where Christian used to live. And Christian, he's one of the most fascinating students I've ever had. He's got the most amazing resume. He used to work at Electronic Arts. Now he works at Sony. He was actually the dude that created the video game for the James Bond video game on the PS2. I think it was Sean Connery was in it. God bless him, he passed away. It was called From Russia with Love. Great game. He also worked on The Simpsons, yeah. Okay. Next up, Sarthik wrote, can I get some life motivation, Chris? Yeah, absolutely. I think the best way to stay motivated in life is to practice gratitude. It gives you a sense of purpose. And so, as I mentioned earlier, before I get out of bed every morning, I practice gratitude. And I thank God for 10 things in this order. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my kids, Christine, my mom, my dad, my brother, my brother Jamie, my sisters Katie and Elizabeth, and my students, all of you. Practicing gratitude, it puts you at a different level in life, right? It makes you feel a lot more euphoria in your life. And also exercise a lot, which is why I do my 20,000 steps every day in this office here, because what happens is that releases endorphins, and serotonin. Keeps me happy. And write down your goals. Yeah. Okay. Next up, David wrote, what is a quant? Yeah. So, a quant, when it comes to the finance industry, refers to somebody that does a lot of quantitative analysis. People call them brains on a stick, which is kind of mean, like engineers. But they do a lot of quantitative analysis to find out if there are great investment opportunities out there. Yeah. And there are some black box based trading algorithmic hedge funds out there that do really, really well, and they hire a lot of quants. And so the one I want to mention here is called Renaissance. And Renaissance was founded by a brilliant man named Jim Simmons, and his son lives here in Berkeley. And they have thousands of computers, Linux computers, running in parallel that pick stocks. And they make 40% every year. They'll never disclose what's in those black boxes. But here's an example how it works from a quant perspective. In those black boxes, a lot of parameters feed into it. For example, if it's raining a lot in America over a long period of time, that input goes into their API or their Linux servers, whatever. And what comes out is, hey, it's raining a lot, therefore short restaurant stocks because people don't go out to eat when it's raining, that sort of thing. For more details, do a search on Renaissance and Jim Simmons from a quant perspective. And you have a follow-up here. Do I need a quantitative analysis to grow my investment edge? No, you don't. It's just one way of investing, right? There's people create algorithmic engines to pick stocks. That's just one way. It's hard to do, and only a handful of companies on the planet have ever figured it out, including Renaissance. I recommend being longer-term focused in analyzing companies from a fundamental valuation and technical perspective in order to get edge and do exceptionally well. And in my MBA program, I have a lot of templates for you to use. And this is just one of the many templates or tools in your toolbox, so to speak, where I go through, and this is just dummy data here, but I go through 100 different steps to analyzing companies, qualitative research, quantitative research, and financial research as well. And then what happens is all these charts are created for you, and then there's two reports that come out of it. One is an executive summary, which looks like this, and it has tons of inputs. I had fun doing this. And there's no code in this, by the way. There's no macros. And then also a detailed report comes out of this, which is like a 150-page report, which I teach all my students. And for those of you in my MBA program, I introduced this in the fourth semester of the four-semester program. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then David wrote here, I've seen Billions at your recommendation. Great show on Showtime. And I've seen Three Idiots. It's a great movie, eh? And for those of you who have not seen the movie Three Idiots, turn me off, dude, and just go watch it. It's the most popular Bollywood movie ever made. It was made in 2009. It's done exceptionally well, and your outlook on life will change after watching it. If you have kids, you have to watch it. If you're not sure what career you should choose, you have to watch it. Regardless, you have to watch it. It's called Three Idiots. You'll laugh, you'll cry. I laughed hard and cried a couple times. Yeah, it was good. Then you wrote, any more shows or movies to recommend? Yeah. When it comes to business-based movies and television shows, probably the best business show on television right now is called Succession. And it's loosely based on Rupert Murdoch's life. Loosely. And it's got one of the 8 million Macaulay Culkin kids in it. Kieran Culkin, I think. Yeah. But it's great. It's great. Yeah. And it's so well done. There's dissonant music soundtrack with the piano at the beginning there, and it's bizarre camera angles. It's funny. It's funny. You'll love that. In terms of other movies to learn about business, probably the best one to see is called Too Big to Fail. And it's with William Hurt and Paul Giamatti. And it talks about, and Topher Grace as well, it talks about what happened in 2008. But it explains it in such a way that it's actually fun to watch, right? And that's, as Warren Buffett said, derivatives can be financial weapons of mass destruction, which is what I'll teach also in my upcoming options course. Check that one out. Other movies to watch to learn about the evils or unethical activity within many Wall Street firms is a movie called Wall Street, where Michael Douglas got the Best Actor award back in '87. That's a great one. You can also watch that Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I can't remember what it's called. You guys know what I'm talking about. Just do a search on Leonardo DiCaprio finance movie to learn about unethical business activities. God, it's killing me. I can't remember it now. Yeah, you guys all know what it is, though. Okay. And David wrote here, have you heard of Dr. Alexander Elder? He wrote books on trading stocks, Come Into My Trading Room, and The New Trading for Living. Both have workbooks to also help you retain information. I've not heard of that one actually, but what I teach is based on my real life practical experience, and I have here a technical analysis portion as well to this, and a lot of other and a sensitivity analysis. Somebody asked me about this earlier, but I have a technical analysis slide or step in here somewhere. Here it is here, number 99, after Wayne Gretzky or Aaron Judge. Yeah. So I help you with this as well. So you enter in all your inputs here, which helps you with technical analysis as well. I'm going to be talking a lot more about technical analysis in my upcoming complete options course coming up later this year as well. Yeah. All right. Next up, Patricia. Hold on, it just jumped on me. Here it is here. Patricia wrote here, children are the single greatest experience in life. I completely agree. It's why we're here. Yeah. And then you wrote here, I totally appreciate that COVID forced us to spend time with family. I agree. It's been tough, but what's happened is, and I have, like my son Andrew, he's 17 now. I worked out with him starting last year in the cheap little gym we built in the garage here. And you don't get an opportunity to spend time with your kids when they're teenagers, right? But it's kind of like forced family fun. I got to hang out with them, which is a unintended positive benefit. And COVID has had such a prophetic impact on how the whole world views work and life. And I interviewed this economist, Linda Nazareth, on my show a couple months ago. And she talks about the YOLO economy. YOLO, Y-O-L-O, stands for you only live once. And so a lot of people are quitting their jobs now. And they're living their lives on their own terms. You know, of course, we need enough money to survive. But they're doing what they're most passionate about. And a lot of people are going to be working from home forever so that they can spend more time with kids. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And then you wrote, sorry for the lost lives. Yes. I definitely paid for some funerals myself. Oh, God bless you. Sorry to hear that. And then Jay-Z, Gift and the Curse. Yeah, I'm a big Jay-Z fan as well. I did a vlog recently on Beyonce and Jay-Z. Do a search on it if you want to. Amazing life story Jay-Z has. He couldn't get a job. He couldn't get any recording studio to sign him to a contract. And that's a good thing in hindsight for him, because through that frustration, he said, screw it, man. I'm going to launch my own recording label. And because of that, he's way more successful. So always think about your career shortfalls as kind of being blessings in disguise. Perception becomes reality. I think, therefore I am. If you think about career shortfalls as being an opportunity, you'll be much happier and see it as a turning point in your life. And you might not understand that today, but many years from now, you'll look back and you'll be grateful to God that you turned into a different side street, so to speak, career-wise. Moving on to Ted Bell. Ted wrote here, do you recommend taking your MBA course? If I have no intention of finishing it, I'd like to just pick and choose courses and classes that suit my circumstances. Yeah, absolutely. And the way I architected it is it's 100 3-hour classes. And in order to pass, all you have to do, if you want to pass, all you have to do is after each of the 100 classes, there's a short quiz, which is simple to do. And all you have to do is pass 50 of them, 51 of them, to get the MBA degree. And so it's kind of set up like it's kind of set up like I'm a waiter. Okay, and this is the restaurant I proposed to my wife Christine in Paris, Maxine's, because I didn't want her to say no. She said yes, but it's kind of like I'm a waiter. And when you go to a restaurant, there's a lot of things you can choose, but you only choose like one entree and 1 or 2 starters. And that's why the MBA program is set up. I'm a waiter, And I give you options to look at every type of aspect of business to learn about in 5 categories as follows: entrepreneurship, personal growth, it's important, economics, management, and strategy, sales, marketing, and communications, and finance and accounting. You can take just 50% if you want, or 51% of the classes and get over 50% to pass, or you don't have to pass at all. A lot of people don't finish it, and a lot of people actually have MBAs from very prestigious universities, and they take it, and humbly, they've said that they've learned a lot more in the first month than they did in their entire MBA degree program. Yeah. All right, and it's cheaper. Moving on to Garvit, who wrote here, how do you find mentors who have done great in their respective fields? They would be quite busy. How can we persuade them to guide us? I think we need to provide some value in their life as well. Yeah. So in the very first month of the MBA degree program in the personal growth track, I teach how to network on steroids and how to get mentors as well. But you have to keep in mind that people want to help you. All you have to do is ask. And so what I want you to do is I want you to meditate on what I'm about to discuss right now. Think about yourself, Garvit, 20 years in the future from now. You're 20 years more successful than you are already today. And this younger person, 20 years younger than you, reaches out to you. And this younger person is from the same hometown as you, maybe part of the same organization you're part of, maybe they went to the same school as you. And they reach out to you and they ask you if you have time for a meeting. Would you say yes to that meeting? Of course you would. Of course you would. So I'll teach you in the program how to find people over LinkedIn and on different platforms that have something in common with you, and how to ask them for a meeting, and how to conduct yourself in those meetings. Because relationships are always more important than product knowledge. Your network is your net worth. Okay. And then Peyton wrote, Peyton's in my MBA program. He's awesome. He's dope. Peyton wrote, yes, I don't plan on finishing everything. Sorry, Chris. Dude, that is awesome. No worries at all. No worries at all. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. Yeah. Yeah. And I analyze it, and most people never finish any of my courses. You know, some people do, they get a certificate, whatever. But I architected the program so that you only have to take half of it to get the degree, if you're interested in that at all. Yeah. All right, cool. Next up, Dan wrote here, hey, Chris, great to see the good work you've done for humanity. Thank you. May the Lord continue to bless you, your family, and business adventures. I have a dream. Yes, I love it. I love it. And that reminds me, of course, of the late, great Martin Luther King. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. God bless you much, much more. Next up, we've got Yeti. Hey, Yeti, how are you? First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. Thank you. So Yeti wrote, I just wanted to say you're an amazing man. Strength words. Can you guess who this is? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think I know who that is. That's probably Kemi, who goes by 3 different YouTube addresses. One is Kemi Tarde. Kemi also goes by the Oracle. And then now you go by Yeti Naija. Very, very cool. Thank you. I know who that is. Yeah, thank you. Kemi's one of my great MBA students, and we're building a school in honor of her mother in Nigeria in 2023. Yeah. Strength word. And I say strength words like that because I teach my students how to interview and do informational interviews as well. And there are certain strength words you have to drop every now and then, like team player, passionate about the job, etc. And when I mention those strength words, I always whisper, strength word. Yeah. Moving on to Hidden Creatures, who wrote, hello again. Thank you for teaching us and sharing your knowledge with us. How do you deal with uncertainties in life? Yeah. So the best thing I can say is this. A couple things. Number one, don't worry about the future when it comes to your career, because God already knows what's going to happen, and that should put you at ease. And Winston Churchill once said, I met a man who on his deathbed talked about all the worries he had had in his life, none of which came true. Don't worry Hakuna Matata, as they say in The Lion King. Don't worry. We worry way too much. And if you want to learn how to not worry, there's a great book you can listen to or buy by Dale Carnegie called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And Dale Carnegie talks about living in what are called day-tight compartments, meaning focus on each day at a time. You know, just appreciate things you see outside. You know, the beautiful trees, the weather, the birds that God created, your children, your family. Stop and smell the roses along the way. Enjoy every single day, because you can only be happy today. Aside from that, one more thing I'll talk about when it comes to uncertainties is if you've got to make a decision in life and you're at a fork in the road, you can choose A or B. What I want you to do is, a lot of times when it comes to a tough decision, we tend to use qualitative stuff or go with our gut to decide. That's not smart enough. I want you to also quantify which direction to take. And the best way to do that is to actually use Microsoft Excel, and I'll show this to you really, really quickly. I love Excel. It's fun. So let me go and create a brand new document here. I'll make it a bit bigger, and I'll go through this quickly because I have talked about this before. Okay, so let's say that you have two different choices to make in life, okay? Option A, make sure I'm centered here. Option A, and then option B. Okay. And option A is to, I don't know, take a job at a consulting firm. Option B is to take a job at an investment bank. And you're not sure which one to choose. So what you can do is you can quantify it as follows. Okay, let me make this a touch bigger here. You can quantify it as follows. You set up criteria and you quantify it like this. Okay. Money, travel, people, etc. Okay? And so if you're going to take a job at the consulting firm, let's say the money is good, but not as good as at the investment bank. So what you do here, you got to rate it out of 10. So maybe it's, I don't know, a 6 out of 10 money-wise. The investment bank is maybe a 10 out of 10. Okay? What about travel? Well, if you work in consulting for option A or B, if you work in consulting, let's say you have to travel a lot and you don't like that. So that's a 2 out of 10. But if you work in investment banking, you don't have to travel that much. So it's a 6 out of 10, whatever. And then people. And you do this for like 100 different criteria. This is just an example. Let's say the people at the consulting firm are awesome, 10 out of 10. But the corporate culture in the investment bank sucks, which it always does. So it's a 1 out of 10. Okay. So you got a bunch of criteria here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to weight it using statistics really quickly. Okay. So I'll do weighting right here. And I'll also put it right here, and you'll get this great aha moment in a second once I'm done going through this really quickly. All right, so let's say how important is money, you know, out of percent-wise. So maybe it's 80% important for you right now, okay? And let me just put this here, okay? And then what about travel, right? Well, it's kind of important, but you're younger, maybe you don't have kids yet. So, I don't know, 50%, okay? People, how important is that? Well, I want to enjoy doing what I'm doing. But I can always move on to another job if I don't like it. 60%, okay? Whoops, 0.60. And I'll calculate this in a second. This will all make sense to you, okay? So let me first of all paintbrush this bad boy here, like that. Good. And then what I'll do is I'll copy these weightings over here, and we will get the final answer, okay? So now what we're going to do is, let me just delineate this very quickly here. Sorry. What we're going to do now is we're going to calculate what path we should take. So you do this times out of 10, okay? And I'll show you the summary in a second, okay? Copy, okay? So for example here, investment bank, the weighting is 50% for travel, okay? Now what we can do is we're going to take the total equals sum. Okay, so 11.8 is what consulting is, and 11.6, ooh, that's not much of a beat, but it is a beat for investment banking. So this means you're going to go with the investment banking job instead of you're going to go with the consulting job instead of the investment banking job here by a slight narrow margin. And so I want you to actually write down 100 questions, or a lot of them at least, whenever you have a big decision to make in life and there's uncertainty. And I want you to quantify it this way as well. And in my MBA program, I provide you with a lot of frameworks or arrows in your quiver or tools in your toolbox, so to speak, to help you make the right business and personal decisions in life. All right, so we got about 15 minutes left before I wrap this up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up with a question, and whoever answers this question right, okay, in YouTube, the first person to type it wins my MBA degree program, the $909 on-demand version that you can start today. However, and I have to say this, two things. Number one, if you've already signed up, please don't answer the question. And number two, no matter what happens with this, whatever answer comes first is the person that wins. Okay, whatever comes first. I always get people texting me or emailing me saying, hey, I answered it right. Why didn't I win? Okay, so here's the question. And the question is always based on one of the 7 topics that I talked about. Okay. All right. Let me think. Whoa, someone just fell down. Oh, it's just the wind blew my garbage pail over. Okay. All right, keeping it real. All right, so the question is this. Let me think about it right now. Okay, I got it. Whoever answers this right, the first person to answer it wins. When you're doing research on investing in an IPO, what document do I recommend reading from sec.gov? And whoever answers that correctly wins the MBA program. And the best way to, whoever wins, I'll tell you how to collect it in a second. Okay. Yes, Anurag, you won. Thank God. Anurag, God bless you, because you've been asking me over and over and over again. You're relentless, but I love you. For one of my courses for free. So it's fitting and prophetic that you win. Anurag, what I'll do is just send me a message over LinkedIn. Just reply to one of those many questions you asked me, and you get it all. And I know you've been asking for my intro to accounting and finance course, but you don't need that because now you've got the 300+ hour MBA program. Congratulations, Anurag. I'm happy for you. Awesome. Very cool. All right. Okay, moving on to more questions here, and then I'll wrap up the call. Okay. Okay. And Anthony, thank you. Anthony said it's The Wolf of Wall Street is that movie. I couldn't remember that guy's name. Yeah. Jordan Belfort is the criminal in real life who Leo based that character on. Great movie. Great movie. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Sensetsa wrote here, I've taken some of your courses on Udemy. I bought the MBA course. I started it and then life interrupted. I will complete it. I really like the way you approach your business and engage us. Thank you. Thank you. And the wonderful thing is that you've got access to it forever. So you could take it over 2 months and finish it, or over 10 years, whatever. And I always add new content, which you'll always get for free. And if anybody signs up and you start working on it, and then you realize that you've got other priorities in life, or you need to pay off a debt, whatever, just ask for your money back. It doesn't. I don't see who asks for their money back. I don't really care, but I just want to make sure that the customer experience is great. Thank you. All right, next up, Yeti wrote, any thoughts on the current dip in Ethereum? Yeah, so all cryptocurrencies have pulled back tremendously, partially because of Elon Musk's comments about Bitcoin, but more importantly because the Chinese government is trying to crack down on cryptocurrency mining. Now, 81% of all Bitcoin pool-based mining is done in mainland China. A lot of people there use VPNs as well, so the government can't track it. And so Bitcoin has pulled back a lot, $20,000 or $30,000, and because of that, all ships sink at the same time. Okay, temporarily. And so I love to buy investments in companies when everyone's freaking out, Because as Warren Buffett said, you got to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Yeah. So with crisis always comes opportunity, in my humble opinion. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up, Rahid wrote here, and if I'm ever mispronouncing anybody's name, please let me know. Please. Thank you. I don't want to insult anybody. I was one of your students at Halt International Business School in San Francisco. I've been let me look you up here, brother. Hold on a second. Yeah. So I've got your name here, and I just want to be able to visualize who you are here. We're probably connected on LinkedIn, eh? All right. So let me go to LinkedIn. Okay, and I will type your name here. And if anybody's trying to connect with me, I'm so sorry. I'm at the limit now, connections wise, and I've got. It's just too hard. I just got a lot of people, but I do appreciate all the support always. So let me actually do a search here on your name. So Raghid, Karam. Karam is like a Lebanese name. I remember that. Yeah. Okay, let's go here. My mom is Lebanese. Okay. Yes, I do remember you. Yes. Very good to see you. That's right. So I was your professor when I worked in VC. During the evenings, I taught at the Halt International School of Business in San Francisco, one of the schools I taught at here. And then you went on to go to LBS. Very cool. That's one of the great schools there, along with the London School of Economics, where Mick Jagger went to school. Excellent. Well, great to see you again, man. Great to see you. And we have a ton of mutual connections, probably a ton of other students. This is Mona. She was the dean. She's still the dean. Yeah. She's great. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, blast from the past. Well, it's great to see you again, and thank you for the support. And congratulations on London Business School as well. It's a great school. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. God bless you way more. Thank you. Small world. All right. Next up, Kemi, who goes by Yeti Naija, wrote, I'm loving the look, Prof. Chichi. Thank you. And Chichi was my nickname growing up. I couldn't say my name, Chris, which is pretty easy to say. That's not saying much about me. So I called myself Chich or Chichi. I don't know why. Yeah. Now you know my nickname. Moving on to Sensetsa, who wrote, you say my name so well. Thank you. I followed you in taking some of your courses before you started going live on TV like this. And I remember those early sessions. Life interrupts, but I'm here. Awesome. Well, it's great to have you. Thank you. And then Sensetsa wrote here, I need to look at how you've revamped the MBA course over time so I can finish and choose the meal, like the menu, that I want. I want to finish it, God willing. Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to Manas, who's from India, who's already published a lot of Udemy courses and written a lot of books at such a young age. He inspires me. Manas, who's starting his media empire, said, thanks for everything, my mentor. God bless you and your family forever. And I love all those emojis. God bless you and your family way more. And thank you. Moving on to Garvitz, and we've got just a couple minutes left here. And if I don't answer your questions, then what you can do is just copy them and then paste them into next week's webcast, because I'm going to do a webcast every week at 8 a.m. forever. I've done it from 5 different countries now: Canada, United States, Spain, from Barcelona, Rwanda, and there's one more country. Oh, Germany, of course, in Berlin in 2019, where I met Vital at that Udemy event. Yeah. All right, next up, Garvit wrote here, should a great business idea be more scalable or have a high profit margin? Yeah. It all depends on how CapEx intensive the business is. So if you're going to be making a product and having inventory, I would say profit margins matters more. If you're creating a platform and all you care about is getting a lot of subscribers, like Pinterest has done, and you worry about monetizing it later, then scaling is more important. As long as creating this platform and populating it with user-generated content costs you nothing, kind of like what Peyton is doing with his business plan right now. Cool. And then moving on to Michael. Michael, thanks again for the wonderful donations to Project Magu. I appreciate that. God bless you, brother. So Michael wrote here, do you have a location in Brazil where you plan to build your school? One of my best friends is from there, and I traveled there 2 years ago. Thank you for asking, man. I appreciate it. And you do a lot of charity work too as well, and I'm sure I can learn a lot from you as well about that. I can't remember the name of the location. I think it's several hours away from Rio in a remote area. I'll ask Christian Hung, who's one of my amazing students in my MBA program, about where exactly that town is from. And again, we're going to be building it in 2025, and I love the support that you provide. Thank you. Thank you. All right, and then we got everybody answering the S1. Oh, Anurag, you already have the MBA. Okay, so that means that the winner here is Garvit. Yeah, Garvit, congratulations. So Garvit, what you can do is you can, and I asked everybody, don't answer if you already have the MBA, but Garvit, what you can do is send an email to, and don't connect on LinkedIn. It's just too tough. I've got 800 people I still have to say yes to and stuff. Send an email directly to support@harounventures.com. And what I'll do is I'll personally respond, and I'll give you a coupon for the MBA program, the $999 version. Yeah, thank you, and congratulations, Garvit. Yeah. Okay. And let me move on. Yeah, and then Anurag is saying, upgrade my MBA, and I can't do that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, thank you, though. Thank you. But you can always, yeah, I don't offer upgrades, free upgrades. That's all right. Thanks. Yeah. Because I got to build schools, man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and a lot of the money from the MBA program is going to charity. And I don't know if you know this, but my wife's name is Charity. Dude, I have not done that many awful dad jokes. My wife's name is Christine. Of course, it's going to the real charity. Thanks. Meaning Project Magu. Okay. And then Dana Roger wrote, you have a lot of content. How do I prioritize it? I love it all. Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate that. So one thing you can do in the MBA program, if you want to, is you can just do a search on stuff that you're most interested in. So if you go to my website, or even if you go like within the MBA program, at the top of every single page, and this is, I'm already logged in here, but at the top of every page, I've got Ask Chris Anything here. So what you can do is type what you're most interested in, and it will jump directly to where I discuss that in the MBA program. So if we go income statement right here, okay, go to the MBA program here and just click, and it'll take you right to that portion within the program where I discuss that. And every single lecture has advanced closed captions, so you can do searches within the lecture to jump immediately to that portion, that part of the video. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Abhishek. Hey, it's been a while. How are you? Abhishek wrote, sir, your LinkedIn profile, your course on Udemy is out of imagination. Thank you. I appreciate that. And don't buy that course right now, because I've got a thing going now where it's actually free for a little while. And I'll show you how to get it for free, because I want to help. This won't be out there forever, but just for now, it is for a little bit longer, whatever. So you go to my website, harounventures.com, and then you type up complete job. Okay, all lowercase, as you can see up here. Sorry, it's so tiny. harounventures.com/complete job, all lowercase, complete job. And then you can take it for free right here. And God bless you, Joey, who's my amazing head of marketing and sales, for setting all this stuff up. He inspires me so much. He has endless energy, which is why I love him. And you are a product. You are a product of the people you hang out with. Okay. He's great. All right. See, moving on here. Michael Reynolds from Sonoma, California, wrote, I would love to help with the Brazil school. I'll set aside some time to travel in 2025. Thank you. God bless you for that. Thank you. Okay, great. Very cool. Okay, cool. And Garvit wrote here, I'm already your connection on LinkedIn. Okay, Garvit, in that case, just reply or just send me a message then within LinkedIn, or you can email support@harounventures.com and then give me your email address so I could have my team send you the MBA program for free. And congratulations. Okay, so we are out of time right now. So I want to thank you all for joining us this week. This is a lot of fun. I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It actually helps us, and my marketing team has asked me to ask people to like and all that stuff, which is hard for me to ask, sorry. And if you do subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'll see you every day at 9 a.m. my time, because that's when my vlogs drop every day at 9 a.m. If not, God bless you. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy, happy, and safe. Stop to smell the roses, because you can only be happy today. And I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. Last thing I'll mention is that one of my wonderful employees, who is one of my students here on this weekly call, named John Klee, what he does is within a couple hours of this call being completed, he goes through the whole call quickly. He's amazing. And he types in all the questions into the description field of this video, nicely time-coded, so you can click and get immediate access as well. I'm going to end this week's call with a video that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association about Steve Jobs that I think is life-changing. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.